Stugotz will be here in moments, allegedly, from a Pilates studio in Lake Placid for reasons that can't be properly explained here and are show disruptive. Amin will be here. We will talk to Dan Patrick at some point today. We've got a vacation policy at Metal Arc that's not really watching people, so Mike Ryan has fled. He's now at an anti-aging retreat. Billy has been out for a couple of days, and he has now returned triumphantly, and I greet him with this. In the local hour, Dan was absolutely right last week to ask Ricky Williams if Billy's questions were stupid. All of Billy's questions are stupid. Every single one of them, along with his 9-year-old dumb ideas as well. He gets way too much mic time. When is his next vacation? I wish he would vacation half as much as Jessica.
You don't get the show.
God damn.
Welcome back,
I'm
Billy.
out next week. So. Your wish is granted, sir.
Same.
Or madam.
Who was in more pain yesterday, Dolphin fans or Billy, who was trying to pass a kidney stone?
Wait a minute. Ricky said that my questions weren't stupid, though.
That's right.
Even though I thought they were stupid. Ricky thought they weren't stupid.
Ricky has yet to call any of your questions stupid, even though you seem to be pushing the envelope, trying to get him to do so. You want, as much as panicked Chris Cody is a funny visual, enraged Ricky at one of your questions is funny, too.
Well, I've gotten him angry before. The listeners haven't been privy to that, though.
And it wasn't, you were angrier than he was.
Yeah, yeah.
You confronted Ricky Williams with your rage.
It was a wild day. It got to the point that like I talked to my wife and I'm like, "Can you listen to this?" And I'm like, "Do I owe him an apology? Like, what happened here?" I feel like I may have gone a little strong.
Really? Has that happened very often where you put video in front of your wife to find out if you were wrong about something on the show?
If I'm feeling like really like on the fence, I'm like, can I get a second opinion here on this? Sometimes I'll take it to my doctor, ask them for a second opinion, third opinion. So, yeah.
Has she ever said you were absolutely in the wrong here?
Oh, all the time. I'm always wrong about everything. I've never been right about anything with my wife. Not once.
Put it on the poll, please, at LeBatardShow. Have you ever been right about anything with your significant other in your life? How was the kidney stone experience? Are you drugged up right now? Do we get, for one of the biggest scandals the Dolphins have seen, do we get drugged up Billy Gill commentary?
Well, I saved my medicine for here so that I wouldn't be driving in on an empty stomach.
It's better to be at a live radio, at a live microphone, rather.
Yeah, as the day goes, we'll see how it plays out, I guess.
What are the drugs?
What?
What are the drugs?
Huh? Let me see the bottle. No, I brought light stuff today, so I was prescribed Percocet.
Oh my God, really?
That hit me like a bus yesterday. So I did. Yeah. I'm not taking that today.
Nausea, a lot of nausea?
Yeah, there's been nausea, there's been pain. And then I got something called Flomax, which is supposed to, let's just say, help me pee by ways of widening tubes medically.
Maximize your flow.
Yeah. But not to no avail so far. So we'll see. I also brought my strainer. So if I collect anything on air, well, not on air, I'll do it in the bathroom, but I can show the class what we were working with if anyone's interested.
What?
Yeah, you have to go into a strainer.
Don't show it again.
You're not familiar?
Don't show it again. Come on. Don't show it.
I'm speechless.
Well, this is just a collection like container. This isn't the strainer. The strainer's separate.
That's just the home for all the urine and particles.
So you have to pee into like a colander, like you would like rinse blueberries in.
Look right here. I mean, if you want to see it.
It's just.
And I brought a vomit bag
like
too,
a coffee strainer. Okay,
yeah.
What do you do with them?
I don't know.
All right, great. Spicy Wednesdays, ladies and gentlemen. Billy has come in drugged up, a little bit confused, and when he says there's been some nausea and some pain, that could be on the tombstone of the Miami Dolphins, who greet us today. We got a couple of days of hope and one long pass, and we can't have nice things. There was one 65-yard pass that looked like competence. Dolphin fans are like, I've been waiting for that for 20 years. And what happens next? The owner is a total buffoon. This broke at the end of the show yesterday. The reporting afterward has been interesting in a number of places. Let's attack the first one that has been undercovered and underreported, which is that Tom Brady had a plan to sneak into the Dolphins huddle. That the greatest quarterback of all time had a plan through agents that now Jeff Darlington and others are saying that this could have never happened. Ian Rappaport is saying there's a less than zero chance that he would have been finagling his way out of a Tampa contract to become a minority owner. And then at some point during the season, negotiations starting and Tom Brady being allowed to play quarterback. And Jeff Darlington is also saying, freshly emerged from an airport shower, that the owners would have had to vote on that. And once you make it that, they're not going to let Tom Brady go to anybody other than them. Like they'd all vote. All the votes of Tom Brady going to any team would have one vote, all of them in favor of Tom Brady going to that team. Everybody else would not allow him to change teams. I, though, if I were one of the owners, would let him go to the Dolphins just to get him out of Tampa.
Right. There's a distinct possibility that him going to the Dolphins is the precipitous dip in his career. That finally, the thing we've all been waiting for, Tom Brady getting worse, would happen in Miami. It would happen in Miami.
How does Tom Brady not get in trouble for any of this?
That's actually a great shout. That's a great shout.
Not only does he not get in trouble for it, the only recorded records, do I have this right? The only records of teams losing first-round picks because of something involving a player all involve Tom Brady. It's Spygate, it's Deflategate, and it's this. Are there any others?
What are we naming this gate, by the way?
Well, people are saying it's Tampergate. That doesn't work for me.
I mean, it's enough with the gates. The Watergate was not about water. And I spent my entire life thinking that Watergate was about water until I watched All the President's Men in college.
Really?
Because I didn't know about I don't know what happened with Watergate. Watergate was not about water. So why is everything blank gate? Gate is not a suffix to a scandal. It is the full name of a hotel, the Watergate Hotel in Washington, D.C. Blank gate doesn't work. It's never worked.
Well, you want to make it a fence then?
Why? Wait, so it could be Dolphins Gate Hotel. Is that what you want?
Yeah, I mean, that would be better than the water. Like, Watergate was not about water. Why is everything blank gate?
No one ever said it was about water, Chris.
Okay, but then why has everything become Deflategate, Spygate, Bountygate? Everything is gate.
It's just based on what had been at the time, Equator time in America.
The
biggest of the
resign.
scandals. Yes, well, you laugh at that. And when Whittingham says, it was quaint in that a president could feel shame and then resign.
Not for a long time, though. He held on.
Agreed.
He held on.
Brought to you on behalf of Stubborn Defiance. Roy's Stubborn Defiance. Yes, he did hang on.
Well, what are our other big scandals that we could borrow things from? Can it be like Dolphin Contra affair? the Brady-Ross affair, maybe?
Ooh.
The Brady-Ross affair? Because it is kind of an affair.
It absolutely is. And to your point, Dan, with Tom Brady being at the center of all these, he is like the crazy one. It's everyone goes crazy around Tom Brady. Everyone. He is the figure in the NFL because he is so good. Everyone loses their minds around Tom Brady. It's insane. For 15 years, the Patriots organization lost their minds. The Dolphins organization lost their minds. The Colts organization everyone has gone crazy as a result of Tom Brady.
I find a number of things about this interesting. One of them being, and we've talked a lot about income disparities and how the pandemic has sped up billionaires having yet more money and the gap between people who don't have money and people who do, and that you will spend the next 700,000 years waiting for the first billionaire to arrive at billions without being someone who exploits others. But this little club of very rich people and their toys, where they can give $40 to $60 million to a commissioner as just an insurance to take all the hits so they can hide in the shadows, never be interviewed, and when their frat club goes astray because all they are is rich people at the golf club making bets on the side, trying to win with their playthings, you get a desperate Stephen Ross, not interested in any of the rules, just trying to steal the best quarterback because he approaches the end of his life. And he's a joke in this town. He's great at real estate. He has done wonders for a stadium that bankrupted the family that put it there initially because they tried to do it on their own in a different time, and it wrecked the whole family. The idea of not using the community around you, exploiting the community around you in order to build your stadium. And he is great at real estate, but he's every bit as bad at football as he is great at real estate. And it is hard in this town to be the worst in that position. And he's the worst. Like, you could say Loria, but Loria won something. He did bring a championship. As bad as he was, the Dolphins haven't been close to anything. When I go on with Dan Patrick later, I'm going to ask him, tell me off the top of your head, the last time the Dolphins were good. He's got no shot. Nobody watching on Sundays has been paying attention to this team for damn near 20 years under his entire watch as owner of this team. And now he gets an unprecedented penalty for an owner. And I know it's not much. They're removed from committee meetings. It's suspended a day more than Deshaun Watson. That's crazy. It's not much of a penalty. Can't be around the team, hey, for a couple of games. It ain't much of a penalty. But these owners don't get any penalties. It is so rare because it's the convoluted system of the guy dispensing the rules that is the final arbiter on Deshaun Watson, no matter what is collectively bargained. He's got power till there, but then he's middle management. Then he becomes, after that, somebody who works for the owners, and they never get punished. I mean, he took away so little money from Stephen Ross. Nothing. That's his son pass. That's how Stephen Ross, that's nothing for Stephen Ross. My guess is that Stephen Ross's wealth changes by more than that, a multiple of hundreds times more than that every day.
Dan, you don't need a sun pass when you ride in a helicopter everywhere, please.
There's no toll in the sky.
Maybe a couple of rides in the helicopter getting to and from New York, but
that is not a flight that one takes by helicopter.
Maybe. If there's anyone to be a rich
It would
person.
take like 9 hours, maybe more.
Perpetual school zone all the way from Miami to New York in a helicopter.
But I do, because we had the controversial take yesterday that maybe you do want something like this.
Did you see Cody's column today? Cody was not willing to go the lengths of the shocking take of his son, which is, I want my desperate owner to try to cheat. But he did say there is one silver lining here that can be found, and it's as hard to find as a particular grain of sand on Miami Beach. And then he gave a hat tip to his son without naming his son by saying, well, our owner really wants to win.
Right. And that's like, I still hold that opinion, but I guess the reason why Stephen Ross is such a bad owner is, number one, he wants to get involved in this shit in the first place, right? Like, there is almost no good that comes out of owners being that meddlesome.
The report says that this is Goodell's own word, saying, I've never seen an owner this hands-on, getting his fingers this dirty, involved in something like this.
And we will talk about Stephen Ross because he is the majority owner. However, it is also Bruce Beal, the 5% owner of the Miami Dolphins, who, according to Jeff Darlington, is the one who is actually Tom Brady's friend and had the relationship to start the connection with Tom Brady and start these conversations in December of 2019. How can we do this? How can we do this? I guess the thing that's weird in all of this is that Tom Brady at one point was a free agent, and he chose the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Oh, he had something different to prove then, though. Like, he had a team. He needed a ready-built team that was close, that you add a bunch of skill guys. They had the thing. Jameis Winston threw 30 interceptions. He could go there and correct that.
Well, according to Darlington, he really wanted to go to the Saints, but then Drew Brees decided to come back for 1 year, so he went to the Bucs. That was not his first choice, but he did end up in Tampa. I wonder when Miamians start like the brag thing. They're like, haha, the best thing that ever happened to your city prefers Miami. Suck it, Tampa. Have we gotten there yet?
I did.
Still a little.
I don't know that we
shock?
could say "suck it, Tampa," given how thoroughly Tampa
won
has
they
won.
won the damn
recently.
Super
I did
Bowl.
in June.
Yeah, it's like, oh, haha, you won a Super Bowl and you still want to leave. That's how bad Tampa is. I don't know. I'm just trying to spin zone for you guys because you all seem a little
It's
shell-shocked
pathetic.
right now.
It's pathetic, but I think what everyone is wondering here is what is the viewpoint on all of this, the perspective on all of this from a Pilates studio in Lake Placid. So we welcome in a maniacally grinning Stugotz here. I don't know if this is the Jets fan delighting in an incompetence that feels positively Jetsian, but where are you with this, Stugotz?
He's on mute. Of course he is. For fuck's sake, unmute your microphone.
I mean, you should have told me that. Listen, I am connected.
Oh, Jesus Christ. So bad.
Oh, man.
He sounds
Listen, cold
Fine.
weather, it is very
$5.
cold. Oh, I sound terrible. Jesus Christ. I mean, so bad. Sorry, Whittingham.
All right, we will come
All
back
I
to
wanted
you.
to do was make the joke. Bad odor, boner. I mean.
Oh,
It'd be great
Thanks.
if we
Get
just.
a cup of tea,
It'd be
please.
great if we
No.
just cut him off and had that be his appearance. Bad owner, boner, and then just let him go from Lake
I think
Placid.
it's working out. The
Oh,
voice.
my God, Stugotz. All right, do me a favor. Mute yourself again and just get it
No.
cleared up. No. Look at Billy smile. Look, the drug-hazed Billy
It
emerging.
hurts to laugh.
Sorry, Bill.
oh man.
I think it's better now.
It's not.
I don't know if this man is taking a victory lap today for being the second to this story, because he re-reported this story after Florio reported this story, and Ben Volin is vindicated today. A lot of people came after him. This is a nonsense story. It's not true that Tom Brady was almost a Miami Dolphin. So, Ben, now that you have weathered this turbulence, and thank you for joining us. How bad was it, people attacking your reporting when you were saying, hey, this thing was set up, it should be getting more attention, Tom Brady was going to be a Miami Dolphin?
Not any worse than it has been in the past when reporting on Deflategate and Robert Kraft and Aaron Hernandez and just the whole Patriots. I mean, everyone in the NFL hates the Patriots. So social media is nasty. You're well aware of that, Dan. And there's always a lot of negative criticism and a lot of negativity thrown your way. So, yeah, a lot of people in Dolphin land chose not to believe this. But thank you for the NFL for coming out with everything yesterday and vindicating it, I guess. And it's a crazy story. It's one of those cases, Dan, I think, where truth is stranger than fiction. And it's wild. And people, you know this, people choose to believe what they want to believe in this kind of post-truth society now. And people didn't want to believe that Brady was doing this, and the Dolphins were all in. They want to believe the myth of Tua. But it's all very true. And you know, but what's interesting to me is it's being couched as the Dolphins tampered with Brady, and the Dolphins are the ones that get punished here. But this is, you know, it takes two to tango on this one. And Brady was flirting with the Dolphins all season in 2019, starting in training camp. It's not like it happened at the end of the season. He was talking to Bruce Beal all throughout the season, and then Beal would relay the conversations back to Ross. So Brady was just as culpable in this as well. And up here in Boston, I don't think it's making him look very good for him to be so distracted and have his mind elsewhere during that final season in Foxborough.
Would you say this is a bannable affair? Should the NFL ban Tom Brady for life, Ben? In your journalistic opinion, of course.
No, I'm sure I don't know if Dolphins fans should root for that, because Brady still might come there next year. But no, I mean, I do think it's almost worse than Deflategate in a sense. I mean, the football air pressure thing, I think is pretty clear, didn't affect the competition. And who knows how much this affected Brady during that 2019 season. It was not a good year for him or the Patriots. He talked all year about how miserable he was. He was the most miserable 8-0 quarterback. They fell apart in the second half. The offense wasn't good. Who knows? Was Bruce Beal planting some negative thoughts in Brady's head? How distracted was he? So I don't know if it's certainly not a bannable offense. And the NFL, they can't do anything because tampering is only a team punishment. But it doesn't make Brady look very good. And he certainly was distracted that final year, I think. And if he's flirting with the Dolphins, who knows how many other teams he's talking to as well. I think that's something that I've considered a lot too in the last day or two.
What do you regard as the most interesting parts of yesterday, the news that broke yesterday?
First, this revelation that, I mean, we all kind of knew, we first knew that Brady and the Dolphins were talking this past offseason when technically he was under contract with the Bucs. And we knew through the Brian Flores lawsuit that the Dolphins tried to set up these chance meetings at the yacht club after the 2019 season, in like February, a month before free agency began. To me, not a big deal on that stuff. But the fact that it started in training camp, August of 2019, literally the same time that Brady is signing a new 1-year deal with the Patriots, and his first media availability, he's talked about how focused he is and locked in, and that's what the team requires of me, and I'm going to give them nothing less than my full attention. And he's flirting with the Dolphins at the same time. So I thought that was pretty fascinating. And to me, the fact that they cleared Stephen Ross on the tanking allegations was a little curious at best. I mean, they're like, well, he may have offered Brian Flores $100,000 per loss, but, he was only joking and he shouldn't have been taken seriously. It's like, I guess, okay. I mean, he's the boss and he's saying this stuff. I think if the NFL had come down on Ross for the tanking, it seems like it would have potentially exposed them to some all kinds of legal liability. The competition of the game, was it pure and antitrust and things of that nature. So I think the NFL wanted to clear Ross of the tanking allegations and then maybe come down a little bit harder on the tampering. So that to me was an interesting outcome yesterday.
So you're saying they were incentivized to not do an impartial investigation, that they're incentivized to arrive at the conclusion before they've investigated it?
Certainly that is an incentive for them. The tanking thing is bad for the NFL. They don't want to open that can of worms. So there's definitely a lot of thought that they cleared the Dolphins on the tanking for their own liability and for legal reasons, and then maybe came down a little bit harder on the tampering with a first-round pick, a third-round pick. Stephen Ross was removed from all his committees, which doesn't sound like a big deal, but he was on some of the most important ones in the NFL, the finance committee, NFL media, international, gambling. So they stripped him of all that stuff. They really punished him and I think have publicly shamed him with this episode, but they really protected him, and it could have been a lot worse because they frankly admit that there was some talk of tanking. But that Stephen Ross, he shouldn't be taken seriously. And I've been around Stephen Ross. He does speak off the cuff a lot and say things that he probably shouldn't be saying, but there certainly seemed to be a spirit of tanking that 2019 season.
But wait a minute though, Ben, the idea that this would be quote unquote cleared of tanking and that Stephen Ross would take some sort of victory lap in his statement on cleared on tanking, when this is a wall-to-wall shame, and it is clear that much like the mafia boss says not to kill somebody, but says, hey, I got a little bit of a problem with so-and-so, and then they end up dead, that Stephen Ross didn't have to put his name on the serious parts of this and then got scared when Brian Flores put in writing a letter, the coach of a team put in writing so that there would be a paper trail. Hey, this kind of feels like tanking. Like you shouldn't be trying to accentuate at all turns that the draft is more important than winning games, Ben. Like I don't feel like he was totally cleared on tanking. I feel like it was made to look that way.
I think that's a good way of putting it too. I think that's probably just a more forceful way of putting. I want to see if I can find here's the press release. I mean, they do say the investigation conclusively established the Dolphins did not intentionally lose games during the 2019 season. I mean, that's probably because of Flores. Flores stepping in.
They would have been tanking if Flores hadn't ended up being defiant to his boss and ending up not with a job and with a lawsuit and a paper trail. They would have been tanking.
Yes, yes. I think that is a good conclusion to draw from this. And but the NFL, yes, you're right. They're just trying to sweep it under the rug. The NFL is saying, well, there may have been thought of tanking, and Stephen Ross may have said this, but he was only joking. It was not to be taken seriously.
Ben,
that's literally what they said.
We cannot,
no, I'm not saying
no,
it's
I know,
credible.
but as a media, we cannot have in a courtroom a defense of he was just joking. Like that doesn't work in law.
Welcome for Trump.
Well, that's a good point. So no, I mean, I think you and I agree here, Dan. I'm not saying the NFL's explanation is credible, that's just what they're saying. And I think yesterday there's so much that came out. They kind of bombarded us with all this news that it does kind of cloud that point that you're making, that Stephen Ross did try to lose games intentionally. And Brian Flores is the one that stood in the way of it. And he was so concerned that he put it in writing, and he started planning right then and there in his first season. One day I might have to sue this team. Like, I might have to fight legally against this team because it's going to end poorly. And good for Brian Flores for standing his ground. He won 5 out of his last 9 games that year, ruined the Dolphins' chances of getting Joe Burrow. Good for Brian Flores. And I think there were a lot of people, probably myself included, who wondered if Brian Flores was getting the right, advice when he filed the lawsuit initially, and was he really hurting his career? And I think you look at him now, I mean, what player wouldn't want to play for this guy? I mean, what a leader, what a man of good integrity and morals. And I think he'd be a terrific leader, and is only coming out looking better throughout this whole thing. So.
And totally forgotten if the Dolphins start 4-0 and have an electrifying offense where he will get blamed for things. And put this on the poll, Guillermo, is the best, or is the most winning Brian Flores will do a good for Brian Flores from Ben Volin? Is that because he does not have the job, the power he used to have. He's embroiled in a fight against the lawyers of the NFL, which God help anybody who had to do something like that. Can you read the statement, Whittingham, from Stephen Ross? I do not have it in front of me. It was, I'll paraphrase, bullshit, 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 bullshit. I didn't do the wrong thing. Bullshit. Concentrate on winning.
The independent investigation cleared our organization on any issues related to tanking and all of Brian Flores' other allegations. As I have said all along, these allegations were false, malicious, and defamatory, and this issue is now put to rest with regards to tampering. I strongly disagree with the conclusions and the punishment. However, I will accept the outcome because the most important thing is that there be no distractions for our team as we begin an exciting and winning season. I will not allow anything to get in the way of that.
Ben, it's hard to ask this question, okay, because I'll ask about that statement, but it seems to me that all of this can be contaminated from every angle, so that investigation reveals stuff that makes it harder for Brian Flores to prove things in court, that you can conspire to investigate this in a way that exonerates the NFL of the big charge, which is the charge they can't abide, even beyond tampering, which is we are racist in our practices. We got rid of somebody, and then our investigation can show, look, Stephen Ross can point to, well, the most damning allegations in that lawsuit are not true.
Yeah, there is a lot going on in Flores' lawsuit, and the main crux of it is alleging racial discrimination. And it feels some of the allegations he made about tanking, and certainly the tampering allegations, was more about also just kind of embarrassing Ross and putting more into the public sphere about how kind of shady things were behind the scenes there. And maybe, well, if the lawsuit doesn't work out, we can at least have the NFL investigate him too, and have him suffer some consequences. So like the tampering thing with Brady is more an NFL thing than a legal thing. His lawsuit alleging racial discrimination, we'll see where it goes. He got 2 other coaches to join on with him. Ray Horton, I believe, and another coach. And he keeps getting, I think, vindicated throughout this whole process. So, this lawsuit is kind of a nightmare for the NFL, because they keep saying it has no merit, but then you keep seeing them trying to change their Rooney rules and working behind the scenes to get more minority representation with the Denver Broncos new owners. And they're saying there's not a problem, but then quietly fixing the problem, ostensibly to, make the Brian Flores lawsuit go away. But he's really putting a scare in the NFL, and really, I think, might be affecting some real change here.
What did you make of the Ross statement?
I think you put it eloquently. Bullshit. It's fascinating because the NFL comes up with concrete examples of tampering, numerous conversations between Tom Brady and Bruce Beal. Ostensibly, they have receipts, and yet Ross is still denying it and said it never happened and this and that. And he got off easy, by not being penalized for the tanking. And yet he's still defiant, but says, I'm going to step down because I don't want to be a distraction for the team, blah, blah, blah. So I think bullshit, as you put it, is a good way to say it. And he's lucky. I think he's lucky that this is all he's getting punished for, because I think he's really, dancing around the rules very callously. And this was one of the most egregious tampering cases they've ever seen. And the Dolphins deserve to face some punishment here.
Ben, you say lucky, but structurally it's all built to protect him. Like the whole thing. It's not lucky. It's the whole thing is designed so that he is in as control of the punishment as you can be. He didn't get lucky and light by accident. He gets lucky and light because the entire system is set up to make sure that he's protected. Like, you have to be a real fool to fall outside of those protections and get punished and shame this publicly, because it's not what they want to do to their owners.
No, they don't. And we're seeing that with Daniel Snyder. We saw that with Robert Kraft. The NFL's personal conduct policy says that owners are held to a higher standard, but in fact, it's the opposite. They're held to much, much less of a standard than the players are and the coaches and everyone else in the league. So absolutely, Roger Goodell, his job is to shield the owners. Everything is protected, is built to protect the 32 members of the club. People say, well, Jerry Richardson faced discipline for his sexual allegations inside the Panthers. He chose to cash out. He got in a world of trouble and he said, screw it, it's not worth it. I'm 80 years old. I can take the $2.25 billion and live a happy life. So he chose to get out. Daniel Snyder is not choosing it. No one else chooses, voluntarily to leave the club. So the NFL is not here to fight the owners. They're not here to remove their teams from their grasp. They're here to protect the owners. So I think that's another good point you're making. Stephen Ross, yes, is very, very much shielded from real consequences. And the system centered around Roger Goodell is definitely built to protect the owners.
When the reporting by Rappaport and Darlington is that this never could have happened, Brady in a Dolphins uniform as quarterback, because, and I think Rappaport said less than 0 chance, and Darlington said the owners would have to vote on it and they wouldn't have voted to allow it. Do you see an angle from which it would have been possible or plausible for Brady to actually be wearing a Dolphin uniform like he intended?
Yeah, it may have had to be a case where he had to take a year off. So he was definitely going to have to backdoor it either way, because the only way he was going to be able to get out of his Bucs contract and go to the Dolphins was as a front office executive. That's the Bucs had his rights as a player, but not as an executive. So he'd have to go to the Dolphins as their team president and a minority owner. And then the Bucs would have to find a new quarterback, move on. Several months would have to go by. It'd have to be July, August, like right around now, where Brady says, you know what, I kind of want to play. Hey, Tampa, what if we send you a 2nd-round pick, a 1st-round pick, whatever, and let's just call it a day. And so the Bucs would have to agree to that. And then I guess, yeah, the owners, he'd have to probably get 24 out of 32 owners to agree to let Brady do it. That would have been an interesting vote, especially to see someone like Robert Kraft. The owners are all meeting to approve the Broncos owners in like a week. So they could have done it. But, Gronk had a comment where he thought that Brady was going to take a year off and then come back. So maybe it would have had to take a little bit more time than this expedited calendar, but he was going to have to backdoor it because the Bucs held his rights. So I was always told that his plans were to be the executive, not necessarily the player right away. So I think there was going to have to be a little bit of time for him to come back as the Dolphins quarterback. And I think really this was Brady's just golden opportunity to get into the business of the NFL, make a lot of money in that league. And I think his goal is to front an ownership group one day. And this would have been his foot in the door. So I think that was why I was attractive to Tom Brady.
Last question, and before I get to it, I just want to point out how just totally perfect it is that Volin is telling you that what it would have cost to have Brady as quarterback is what it cost to not get Brady as quarterback. That those picks that they lost would have landed you him. It's just a perfect symbol of the incompetence that they lose the picks anyway and don't actually get him. They just get the shame of trying to cheat to get him. But let's play the sound of Mike Florio on with us yesterday, because I kept asking, why wasn't this story getting picked up when Ben Volin, credible football person for a long time, and Mike Florio are telling you this was all happening, and nobody seemed to care that the greatest quarterback we've ever seen was trying to be on the move, and as an added bonus, didn't retire. We just read it wrong. We read his press release wrong, which to me is maybe the craziest part in this whole story, that Boston got pissed off. Why didn't he thank us? Well, because he wasn't leaving. He intended to stay, and we just got the statement wrong. Let's hear the sound from Florio yesterday.
No one cares because ESPN didn't report it, NFL Network didn't report it, so it was never made a big deal by them. It never became the talking point for 3 days of Sports Center and every studio show. It never got traction because ESPN ignored it, because ESPN didn't break it. And I assume that Schefter knew about it, and maybe this is just one of those third rails that he's not going to touch because he's a Michigan guy and doesn't want to piss off Brady, and he's tight with Don Yee, and Yee represents Peyton and Brady, and maybe the table was set for Schefter to be the one to break it to the world if Brian Flores doesn't file his lawsuit.
Ben?
Yeah.
What are your thoughts there?
So I don't want to speak for ESPN and NFL Network. I guess you have to ask them why they chose not to pay much attention to this crazy story from Mike Florio and myself. I'd like to think I'm a fairly credible football guy, as you said, and Mike certainly is as well. So I don't know why they chose to ignore it. You'd think that both reporters at both places could have confirmed it in about 2 seconds if they wanted to. They're very close with Don Yee and with Brady. So, at those places, you got to play politics. Like, you're embedded. You are the league. If you're the NFL Network and ESPN, you basically are the league as well. So you're constantly, we've seen it with Schefter, where he sends drafts of his stories to the people he's covering. And so you have those kind of politics that you got to play at ESPN and NFL Network. And I'm fortunate. I don't really have to play those games at the Globe. I can piss off whoever I want, and I kind of like being untethered like that. And you know what? They didn't report on it, and that's okay. I guess it's good for me and Florio, because we certainly got plenty of attention about it over the last couple of months. But they're going to be talking about it now because the NFL just confirmed everything, and it was like I said, one of those stories where truth is stranger than fiction.
Ben, thank you for being on with us, sir, and thank you for the dogged reporting at every turn.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Ben.
Yeah, thanks a lot, guys.
Thank you, Ben. Sorry I didn't say hello on the front end and we immediately got started. Good seeing you, and thank you for making the time for us.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate you, Dan.
Likewise.
All right. Take care, guys.
Can you guys help him out at the 19-minute mark? Unless it's funny, I was where I'm like Ben after the comment. It would be funny to make fun of, but we didn't do anything with it. So,
yeah, if you want to
What, Dan?
get straight to the answer.
It was like talking to Billy.
Ben? What?
What do you mean?
So we need
Hello,
just
Ben.
5 more minutes here with Stugotz. Because we got, what do we got? We got 35?
Thereabouts, yeah.
What have we not done on Dolphins that we should do?
Said boner correctly.
Apparently, they're the only monogamous animal.
Really?
Yeah.
Dolphins?
That's
I thought
unfair.
doves were. I thought there were a couple of.
Oh wait, maybe dolphins are the ones that have sex indiscriminately.
They are.
Yeah.
Wow, so the
You think of
exact
penguins?
opposite of what you
Was I
said.
thinking
Well, not a
of
mammal.
penguins?
No, that's a bird.
Penguins are monogamous. One of the birds is monogamous. I thought it was doves though for some reason. I don't think that's right. Now that I think about it though, penguins are monogamous.
We're on it. But to answer your question, I do think the reason why Stephen Ross is so bad at this because all these plans fail. He's like Dr. Doofenshmirtz, or like imagine like any character. It's Phineas and Ferb. It's a television show. It's a kid show. So like, I feel like
Weird.
there's
Too old
like
for that.
like so many like who are the villains in history where like all of their plans fail. He's Wile E. Coyote. He is a villain where all of his plans fail. Like every cockamamie idea he's had for 12 years, then none of them come off. And that's the part that's frustrating. The ideas, as Chris and I said yesterday, the ideas are not frustrating to me at all.
Trying to get Brady by itself is not bad.
You've been clubbed over the head by him for 20 years. You might as well try and get him.
Just don't get caught cheating trying to get him. It's such a low bar. Try to get him the entire time. Just never get caught.
Also,
so close to pulling off just a seismic, just so close to pulling off. This feels at the end, I feel like Stephen Ross was looking around like the guy in the movie who's the villain who eventually leaves the room where the hero is certain to be dead, only to find out that the hero escaped because he didn't just shoot him in the head right there. Stephen Ross was this close to perfectly executing the great crime without anyone knowing about it, and instead it's just shame and hostility and chaos.
And you know what's funny is that even the tanking plan worked, even though it was foiled by Brian Flores, because at the beginning of it, it was all for Tua. Let's go get Tua. And yes, you only got him at 5 because he got hurt, but you did get him at 5. You got the quarterback that you wanted. He hasn't proven to be that so far, but there's another aspect of this that I find
You say
really
he got
frustrating.
the quarterback he wanted, but then he didn't get the quarterback he wanted after he wanted to replace the quarterback that he wanted.
Well, yeah, because you go and get Tom Brady. Here's the thing that I find interesting. Brian Flores was hired on a 5-year contract. Remember at the time it was kind of noteworthy because everyone in that coaching cycle was getting 4- and 3-year contracts, and Brian Flores got a 5-year contract. And it was at least in part, I thought, because Brian Flores came in with eyes wide open, that he knew he was entering an organization that was going to undertake a massive rebuild and that they wanted to essentially tank for a quarterback. And then through that season, he's sending emails to upper management saying, hey, wait, hang on a second. Are we tanking? And I don't understand how in the interview process, you're not like, look, man, we're going to tear this thing down to the studs. And we're going to give you a 5-year contract as a result, but we're going to trade Laramie Tunsil a week before the season. We're going to get rid of everybody to go and get the number 1 pick in this draft. That Brian Flores seemed to be unclear about that. Doesn't make any sense. Then it was all for Tua. It seemed pretty clear that Brian Flores didn't want Tua from the beginning. Last year, Jeff Darlington reported this morning, I was listening to ESPN Daily, Jeff Darlington said he 100% wanted Deshaun Watson. He was totally in on the idea. It seemed like Brian Flores never really wanted Tua. So again, Stephen Ross's failures are not his cockamamie ideas. It's execution. Why didn't he get a coach that also wanted Tua? Why didn't he get a coach that also understood that the team is going to tank? Why are all these plans executed so poorly?
And Flores had to negotiate something because of his status as a black coach, because the black coaches get shorter terms. They don't get second chances. And he was coming down from on high, the guy knighted next to Belichick, the most recent guy knighted next to Belichick who could cross the bridge to the players between the Patriot way and also I'm a guy that you want to play for. He needed to make sure contractually that he wasn't just winning the interview and winning the job. He needed the security of knowing what you're saying to me before I've played game 1 is going to be in place as security by the time we get to game 7, and I can't overcome the losing. As I remind everyone that Dominique Foxworth was on television saying that it was immoral, not ethically immoral because the integrity of the game suggests you should win, immoral because their players would physically get trampled and hurt by bigger and better opponents, immoral to make them go on the field and risk injury in pursuit of a failed cause. That's where that season started.
Yeah, the Dolphins were treated that season through 6 games like Savannah State in college football. That they were that much worse than everybody else that it would be physically harmful to them to get trotted out there. And then Flores went and won 5 games. Actually, in some respects, set the wheels in motion fully for Tom Brady's departure from New England, because they beat him in the last week of the season. They then had to play a first-round playoff game, which they then lost to the Titans. They would have had a bye week if not for the Dolphins going on the road and beating them in New England with that terrible team. So at that time, Brian Flores seemed like a great coach and was going to, set the foundations. We bought all this bullshit about what he was going to build. But I do want to follow up on something that we talked about with Ben Volin, which is the notion that how does this affect the lawsuit? And I do think that Brian Flores could legally make a case. Oh, I don't know legally how effective it would be, but he could basically say these are the kinds of jobs that black coaches get, where from day one, the owner is trying to sabotage me winning. And how often do coaches where they lose a bunch of games and put that stain on my record, that the next job that I go to, my record's going to be 10-27 because I went 3-13 my first year. Like, how am I going to get rehired after this? Probably not. And that these are the kinds of jobs that Brian Flores and other black coaches get. The ones where we're set up to fail from the beginning. I was set up to lose from day one by an owner who wanted us to lose. Whether he told me to lose or not, I was set up to fail from day one of this job.
The statement that Stephen Ross had yesterday, I'm just curious how this landed on all of you, including Percocet-soaked Billy. The independent investigation cleared our organization on any issues related to tanking and all of Brian Flores' other allegations. How do you start that sentence that way? Like, what? You did not get cleared yesterday of things. That's not, things became clearer that you're an incompetent buffoon who breaks the rules, and the NFL can prove it. But that sentence, the independent investigation cleared our organization on any issues related to tanking and all of Brian Flores' other allegations. The way they cleared you was to say you were joking and that they couldn't get the timing right and couldn't get the witnesses to say things at the right time. But that's not a clearing. Hey, Stephen Ross was just joshing. It's not a real investigation clearing when the investigation is incentivized and the system is incentivized to not punish you.
And Brian Flores laid out the Tom Brady, Sean Payton thing in the lawsuit. He said, we made impermissible contact with Tom Brady, and I didn't want to be a part of it. So there was a boat that him and somebody was on. He didn't want to be on that boat. That was part of the lawsuit. So that right there was proven by the investigation. Not even the, I'm just joshing, we interpreted this conversation differently. The actual facts of Tom Brady and Sean Payton were in the lawsuit, and they were correctly proven by the NFL investigation. So you can start there. But even the tanking stuff, like, yeah, Stephen Ross was said by the NFL. He prioritized a one-loss record. Whether that means tell the coach to win or lose games, he wanted to tank.
How about the second sentence of the statement? As I have said all along, these allegations were false, malicious, and defamatory, and this issue is now put to rest. Because you say so. What do you mean the issue is not? You declared it, King Bumbling Ross? Like, what? The issue's not put to rest. You don't get to euthanize the issue. Not as long as me and Ben Volin are around to say something about it.
Shaking a fist. This will not end on my watch.
What does it mean? What does that mean?
That's a great tactic that I've seen people use all the time. Like very stubborn people. They'll like drop a grenade on you and say, "But I'm over it." Like I'm sick and tired of your shit, Chris, but I'm over it. And it's like, well, wait a second. You just said something really mean to me. You can't just decide you're over it and you're moving on. What about the fallout from all the shit you just said? And I feel like this is exactly this tactic. He's like, some of this stuff happened, but we're over it now. And it's like, you don't get to decide that.
He thinks he's gotten to decide things for a long time on his terms. And so he says, even though he strongly disagrees with the conclusion and the punishment, this is a great sentence. I will accept the outcome because the most important thing is that there be no distractions for our team.
Oh, get out of here.
Yeah, this definitely was not a distraction yesterday.
Not
whatsoever.
Well, let's start there. A great contribution from Stugotz in the first hour that was phlegmy and from the Lake Placid Pilates studio where he is now. I've got a couple of questions for you that I've been wanting to ask you. Okay. You did successfully negotiate with Tony Boselli. Billy, what do you think is going to happen here? Terms that grant you friends and family section at the Hall of Fame ceremony, that grant you that you can be a part of the parade that Tony Boselli, I don't know whether you got into the car with Boselli, but you are going to be part of the parade. He would not grant you saying your name during the induction ceremony, but you have planned for a while, even before these concessions by Boselli, to go to the Hall of Fame ceremony because you say you got Tony Boselli into the Hall of Fame. Billy, do you think Stugotz is going to show up this weekend? Where are you putting the odds? If DraftKings was putting odds on this, what would be the odds on Stugotz actually showing up in Canton for his good friend Tony Boselli, who he negotiated and strong-armed into giving him things on his big day?
At one point, he told me, "I'm going if you're going," to me, which I don't know how I got involved in any of this.
Right. Producer.
Yeah. But you could just go and not do things. You could just kind of go and be there for your friends.
Right. Well, I could do that, but I feel like we should probably get some content if we're going to be out there. I would like to go with you. Excuse me. That's $5.
That's $10.
But Tony
Sound worse
Boselli
than
did.
me.
No. Sorry. I cleared it out. I'm good. Okay. I'm fine now. Tony Boselli has promised me. Okay. He has promised me VIP tickets to the Tony Boselli Hall of Fame pre-party, which is really a post party. It's Saturday at 8 p.m. He has promised me friends and family. I don't think Boselli knows his own schedule. He has promised me friends and family access. I sit next to the wife and kids during the Hall of Fame ceremony, which I'm very excited about because I'll be on TV. And he has also promised me to be in the parade at 8 a.m. on Saturday. Now, I am debating, and I am very skeptical as to whether or not Tony Boselli is actually going to let me on the parade route in the car at 8 a.m. Saturday. My plan right now is to be there 8 a.m. Saturday, but I am doubtful that Boselli's going to make that happen, and I've texted him a few times, and he hasn't gotten back to me. So I don't know what to do. I mean, I'm torn here.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, he can't go without having these things be a certainty, Dan.
I need to know.
Yeah,
and I deserve to know. I mean, this is a long trip. I have to fly to Detroit to get to Canton, Ohio. There are not a lot of flights, not a lot of directees, so I have to fly into Detroit, drive nearly 2 hours to get to Canton, Ohio. And so I'm just, I'm a little lukewarm on the idea of showing up to a parade at 8 a.m., having no idea if I'm going to be a part of said parade. I don't know what to do.
Well,
Isn't it closer to Cleveland? Why are you flying to Detroit?
Direct flights to Detroit. I'm not taking connecting flights to get there. One flight, and I'm going to drive the rest of the way. That's it.
There are no direct flights to Cleveland?
Not from where I am. No.
Lake Placid?
Can't do it. Yeah, Lake Placid. I mean, I have to go to Albany and then to Detroit and then drive 90 minutes to
Wait
Canton,
a minute. You
Ohio.
can't make the 90-minute drive a suffering when you were arguing on behalf of the 3-hour drive from San Francisco to Tahoe and saying that that's a direct flight.
I'm okay with a 90-minute drive, Dan. What I'm not okay with is not knowing whether or not I'll actually be in the parade if I get there
But he
Saturday
told you
at
you
8
would
a.m.
be. You're making excuses that include
I'm
Billy
not.
has to come. What do you mean you're not? Like, he told you, he said it publicly that you can be in the parade.
He did say that, but I've texted him just to follow up and make sure. He's very busy. It's a busy week. He's going to the Hall of Fame, and he hasn't responded. The only thing he's responded about is friends and family access. You have tickets when I get inducted into the Hall of Fame, and that should be enough for me, but of course it's not. And I can come to the party Saturday night afterwards, and I can also broadcast from the party. I can record interviews. I can tape with people. I don't know who's going to be there, but they have granted me Tony Khan, owner of the Jags, one of the owners, his dad is the owner, has granted me permission to record audio only from the Jacksonville party to celebrate Tony Boselli. So, I mean, we'll see.
We'll see feels insufficient to me. Billy's giving you side
why
eye.
can't you just say yes? It's the Wednesday before an event that's on Saturday. Just say
Right.
yes, book a plane, and go. If you had booked it last week, you would have had a directee to Cleveland.
I know, but I have to. You want me to fly home first, Whittingham, and then go back to Canton, Ohio? I mean, how do you suggest I do this?
Whatever you can do to get there, Stugotz, I'm willing to support you on behalf of getting to Cleveland. Please.
But I do have a question for Dan. Dan, do you want audio? Do you want content? If I'm going to the Hall of Fame, should I just enjoy my friend going in, or do you want me to try to get content for the company? That is the question I have.
I want you to go. I think you're always trying to finagle paid vacations out of things. Without content, it becomes difficult. That first hour we did with you doesn't seem like something that should be paid for. And I think...
Well, you'll get the bill. Don't worry about it.
I think we need to get you a producer. Billy can't go because he's suffering from kidney stones and Percocet.
I said, Stu, because he reached out, hey, buddy, how you doing? I'm like, I'm okay, but I don't know that this weekend's going to happen with the Hall of Fame because, there's flights involved. I'm going to be on medication. I may have not passed anything yet. So, I don't know. It might be time to figure out a plan B if you still want to go. And he's like, buddy, I only care about your health. I don't care about Boselli right now. We'll figure that out later. And I said, you know what? This guy, He loves me.
Does anyone else want to go in Billy's stead?
Yeah, sure, I'll go.
But hold on a second, because what's going to happen is you're going to end up there watching a parade that doesn't involve Stugotz.
Stugotz won't be there. It'll just be Roy by
But that's on
himself.
Boselli, by the way, not Stugotz. I mean, we're what, like 2 days out now? Like, if Stugotz got him into the Hall of Fame, if he was really a friend of Stugotz, it would be more than just a promise to get him in. He'd kind of have some assurances by now that he's going to be there, he's not going to be there. And he's not even here now, so. Stugotz, that is. He dropped out.
Right.
Well, Stugotz is gone, but I was going to suggest flying into Pittsburgh.
No, never, ever. Sorry.
Stugotz's Zoom has dropped out. He continues to want to do the show from
I was
other
going to
places.
offer him some like Northwest Ohio geography help with his directees. but now he's
Whittingham,
gone.
he continues to frustrate you in ways that in 15 minutes in, he popped in on the show, and by the end of the 15 minutes, all I saw was the top of your slicked hair through your hands, because your face, which is usually what drops into your hands when Stugotz does Stugotz things, slid through and arrived with your hands on the top of your head. All I could see was sort of the back of the top of your head, because the weight of Stugotz had been draped on your neck like a big ship's anchor.
Well, I just see these car crashes coming, right? So we were in the Zoom, and I was staring at the computer, and you were getting ready to go to him, and I hear. All right.
I could tell the Zoom didn't work. I don't know why. I could tell I felt your
Well, because
fear.
you might have seen me. You might have read my lips and me shouting at the computer, "Unmute your mic! Unmute your mic! Unmute your mic!" And it didn't work.
Yeah. Billy, betting odds on this. You're not going, correct?
No. I told him I don't think that's a good idea.
Roy is not going to be sufficient for Stugotz, because he wants to make the request of the person with kidney stones that's going to be declined, so he doesn't have to do it.
No. But it goes. I shouldn't say this because he loves me, as we discussed earlier, but it goes deeper than just me going, right? Because it then turned into, well, buddy, because I had this conversation with him over the weekend when I was at Home Depot, and it goes into, well, buddy, if we go, we should probably get it on video too, right? Video would be better. So we'll get you there, and then we'll figure out. I don't know if we talk to Lewis who it is that we get. I go, I don't know. Lewis is going to have a kid soon. I don't know that Lewis is going to be available. Oh, we'll figure it out. We'll get someone up. And then it becomes like a staff of like 4 to 5 people, and it's like 6 days notice on this. I don't know that. And he's like, well, it's up to you, but I think we should go Thursday for the game, and then we should go Saturday for the parades and all that stuff, and Friday we'll find something to do. There's stuff that we can do up there. We'll be getting content. And it's like, up to you, though. Totally up to you if you want to go on Thursday, if you want to go on Saturday. I'm like,
He's going to put on you. Okay, you don't think this is going to happen?
Look, it's very possible for him to just go and be involved in all of these things and just have this cool moment. And while he was telling me, I'm like, man, like, this is really cool, because he was also promising me these benefits as well. Of, oh, buddy, you'll be in the parade and you'll be at the thing with friends and family.
I can foresee a circumstance where he's in the parade and the 4 of you can't get into anything else.
Oh, of course. Yeah. But, I mean, if we had access to that, like, look, never again in my life is a Hall of Famer going to have me in their friends and family section. So it'd be really cool to do this, right?
Unless Golick gets in.
No, I didn't even get invited to the golf tournament, so...
We're
maybe
supposed
I'll
to
be there
have
anyway.
Jimmy Johnson on tomorrow, although this is a very busy week for these people. So we'll see if that happens. Do you want to negotiate with Jimmy Johnson
No.
on his friends and family?
I think you should go and be there for Jimmy Johnson's friends and family.
Yes.
And be watching the whole thing, and Stugotz will be at home because of whatever reason and not see the Boselli thing. And then you can go to the Tony Khan party after.
Where is Stugotz right now? We don't know what happened to the
There's a
Zoom. We
Pilates
don't
class
know
starting
what
or
did the
something.
Pilates
Oh, yeah,
class
that's right.
start? Because the thing I wanted to ask him, Mad Dog is not appearing today on First Take, unfortunately, because Dominique Foxworth had something special for him today. Because Dominique Foxworth is just treating these as artistic landscapes for just foolishness. And he
Inside reporting from you on this?
inside reporting, yes, a concoction and a cocktail of chaos as brewed by Billy Gill. There was something, I'm not going to reveal it because he's still going to unveil it at some point, but I legitimately only wanted Stugotz on today, and I'm not even going to be able to get into this. A couple of weeks ago, we were talking about, or last week we were talking about, Stugotz's "How about that" as a catchphrase has been stolen twice. It's been stolen by his hero, Chris Mad Dog Russo, but the original "How about that" was Mel Allen. And I wanted to ask him if he knew, because I don't know, if all three "How about that's" are said differently. Because I know Mel Allen's was different than the other two. His was a celebration of sport. Mel Allen's "How about that" was like, can you believe it? But Stugotz's always comes after, I'm better than anyone in this business. How about that? Like it's draped in acid, and I think it's more odious than Chris Russo's, which is cartoonish. And I wanted to ask him, but I can't because his technology doesn't work. How about fucking that?
Yeah, Mel Allen was like, how about that? But Stugotz is like, how about that?
That's right. It's defiant. It's like, but I don't know what Mad Dog's was like. Was it the same? Is his stolen, totally and unoriginal from Mad Dog, who made it his own after sampling it from Mel Allen? Because Mad Dog Russo also did have some acid on his "How about that," but it wasn't, or maybe it was. Here's my opinion. You're going to have to eat it. Like that's the aggressive Stugotz "How about that," correct? There are no other "How about that." It's a lazy crutch and everything else, but it is meant to be force-fed to you. This is my opinion. There is no other. How about that? Smear it on your face. You lose.
I find that Chris Mad Dog Russo's is more an exclamatory declaration. How about that?
How about that, mate?
So it's more joyous.
Roy's got all of them in his locker.
More joyous
of
a sports celebration?
Yeah, I would think so, yeah. But Stugotz is one. How about that? Like finishing like an exclamation on his
like eat
hot,
it.
hot take.
Yeah, it's eat it. But I will say, like now at this point, it's a catchphrase, right? So like if you hear him do ad reads, there's like a lot of "how about that's" in the ad reads, right? It's like, hey, here's what this product does. How about that?
The other thing I wanted to ask him about the ad read, because this is both funny and offensive, is how about you not do ad reads that have a plane in the background flying overhead? Can we be slightly more professional than that? How about that?
I enjoy the ambient sound of that commercial.
So maybe we should make more then. We should lean into it and just have an assortment of ambient sounds behind him during the ad read.
I'll be honest, I'm responsible for the ad reads, and I listened to like the beginning of that one, kind of skimmed through it to see if there were any edits I needed to make. There weren't any edits, so I didn't hear the plane flying over the ad read when I sent it over to our friends at DraftKings.
This is what will happen as he erodes your shores. Your general tolerance for incompetence, your threshold will continue. He will continue to test it, strengthen it, and eventually you will become somebody who is stronger as a man, and he has to do less right for you because the bar has been lowered over your objections on anything that resembles professionalism, as evidenced by he is dying. This is a source of real tension. If you were listening a couple of weeks ago, you heard it. The show gets worse when he does it from afar because of things like this. The only joke we get from afar is how incompetent he is, which is not a small joke. It's a useful joke. It just can't be the only joke. And I can't reach him right now.
It's a Stephen Ross joke. You're really not joking, are you?
I'm not joking. Is he joking?
Well, I thought you were going to say that his other joke was bad owner boner. That's what
we got
provided to the local hour.
He's going to get an all expenses paid Lake Placid vacation for his entire family because bad owner boner is what he phoned in from there, and now we're going to get an avalanche of receipts about what that cost him.
That I'm really looking forward to, because I was thinking about this.
We won't even get the receipts, actually. It'll just be handwritten scribbles. The receipts don't exist. It'll just be fraud in the fringes.
There's one thing that Stugotz is diligent about. It is his receipts. But I was thinking about this. Are we going to get receipts for this trip? Because he contributed an hour on Monday, didn't jump on the show yesterday, was here about 20 minutes today. Does that constitute a work trip?
Yes.
I couldn't imagine having that kind of...
Gall?
Yeah.
I can. I can, absolutely can. I've been working with the man for 16 years, so yeah. He's got a lot of gall.
He does.
He's full of gall.
I really was thinking, is he really going to do that?
Put it
really going to do
put
that?
it on the poll, please, Guillermo. What is Stugotz more full of, shit or gall?
I
I was told by our corner over here to say was Wabania? Wabarita?
Guaperia.
Yes, that.
Well, I'm glad you said it, Roy.
You're welcome.
It is fairly amazing given what had to happen to make it so, but the timing in a Tiger King America of the pandemic make it so that Michael Jordan's going to win the documentary game because everyone who comes after him is going to have to pale, whether it's Jeter on ESPN or Magic on Apple. No one is going to capture the imagination because we were desperate, stuck in our homes, a little bit afraid and feeling nostalgic. I've heard nothing about this Jeter documentary, and it's in many, many parts on ESPN. And the Magic Johnson one, I just saw it. It's 4 parts on Apple. It's flimsy. It's made by him or with his approval on stuff. So the story, even though Magic's story to me is so much more interesting than Michael's, so much more interesting, the retelling of it is not. Have you guys heard anything about Jeter? Are you guys watching Jeter?
I've watched the first, I believe, 3 episodes, and it is just 3 hours of Jeter just being like, I wanted it more than anybody else. And his mom and dad are interviewed, and it's like, we told him from the beginning, you can be anything you want. I wanted to be the Yankee shortstop from when I was 7 years old. And it's just like, I'm learning nothing. It's just building up his myth, and it's a little nostalgia. There's a little of the nostalgia in it that you got with the Jordan stuff. So that part of it, I'm like, I'm not like, it's not a miserable experience watching it, but I'm not learning anything about Jeter. They finally in episode 2 got into like the night, like his partying in New York when he was like emerging, being friends with Diddy. I'm like, all right, give me something, Jeter. Tell me you showed up to 1 game hungover. Tell me something. And it's just nothing. It's just all like, yeah, I had fun, but I was always ready to play the next day. It's just like the most stereotypical nothing statement. And he's kind of saying it to you, like in it. He's just like, yep, I never said anything.
Right. That for me was the most stunning bit. I think I've seen whatever's aired. I've seen all of it, but without the sound on. It's just the thing that ESPN is programming on in the background.
Special.
Yeah, LeBatard special for me. And I just can't believe when you're watching the commercials and it's like coming up Tuesday night on Jeter, and it's Derek Jeter sitting in front of the camera going, yeah, it was boring on purpose. I didn't say anything. I went out of my way to be uninteresting. And this is like the best bit that they have from the upcoming episode. It's, let me get you to the television by telling you how boring I was. And he just seems like, you mentioned how, there's these figures that come after Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan, number 1, was like drinking a little bit on the set and was clearly letting it rip a little bit. We had behind the scenes footage of an entire incredible season to have behind the scenes footage of that actually revealed his character in a way that he clearly never would. And I think that there are plenty of athletes that are more interesting. Like, if there's ever a Dennis Rodman documentary, I'll be more interested than Derek Jeter. But
there are more interesting people that are little parts of this one. There's Darryl Strawberry. There's David Wells. Like, there's a lot of names you're hearing of these Yankees, and it's just like, I'd rather see a David Wells documentary, honestly.
There is a Rodman one. 30 for 30 did it. It's on ESPN Plus. Check it out because it is better than what I've seen of the captain. I just love that now Michael Jordan is still a measuring stick. Everybody gets compared to Michael Jordan, and now in the documentary space too, his contemporaries that were the Michael Jordan of baseball, the Michael Jordan of football, came out with documentaries in their own right that still failed to compete with how great The Last Dance was. I think what really sticks out when I'm watching this is someone's just sitting. It's the same camera shot. It's the same art direction in the Jeter and the Brady one. It's almost as if Last Dance happened and everybody rushed to market with these ideas.
These are some of the same people making this, though. I think it's some of
Deepak Chopra did the
Gotham Chopra.
Gotham Chopra did the Brady one. I don't know who's behind this Jeter one, but it's not the same because it's not the same labor of love. It was very quickly turned around to capitalize on this moment in time. Like what he said with Jordan drinking there, the way they framed the shots, it was not filmed during a pandemic. So you're actually on location with these folks, and there's all sorts of different camera angles, and there's unique lighting that textualize it. Everything else just feels like fabricated construction. Like, I don't like it. That's why The Last Dance, it's a labor of love, and it shows.
I just think it doesn't sound like it's an interesting story. Like the story of Derek Jeter and the story of Tom Brady, to me, aren't that interesting. The story of Michael Jordan is, for a lot of reasons that documentary didn't even get into, but some of it they did, and those were, I think, the strongest parts. And like you said, Chris, I think we are underestimating the power of that never-before-seen archival footage. That was a really big part of why that documentary finally got made and why Jordan agreed to do it and be part of it. And like, I don't think there's any of that with either of these. I haven't seen any of the Jeter documentary. Like Witty, I see trailers for it every time I watch F1 or anything on ESPN Plus, and the trailers are so boring. And if that's your stuff, that's like your teaser to get me hooked, to get me to watch, to get me to tune in for 10 hours of Derek Jeter, then like I can't imagine what these interviews are like in the actual episodes.
One thing I was laughing about, because like Dan, you've been interviewed for these type of docs before. Like, how do you, like Tom Verducci's in, like you see so many names popping up in this thing. How long do you think Tom Verducci was interviewed? Like he goes, I'm gonna go
Hours.
do like hours, right? And it's so funny because in like I think I've watched 3 episodes. I've seen Tom Verducci say one thing, and it was Derek Jeter was so competitive he'd eat your heart out. And I'm just like, Tom Verducci probably gave these guys 2 or 3 hours of his time. And the only line that they've pulled from Tom Verducci is he's so competitive, he'd eat your heart out.
That would be interesting. If Derek Jeter ate someone's heart to win a baseball game.
Or admitted it. I've eaten a heart.
That would be an absolute hook. I am tuning in. I want to see the fallout from him eating someone's heart out. But no, it's all metaphorical. Like no one's actually saying any
right.
truths.
Like, Jeter, tell me one time you showed up to a game hungover. Just make it up. Just be interesting.
Lie to us.
Like, yeah, I used a gift basket once.
Right. Like, he's just in every moment that he has a chance. Maybe he'll say something interesting here. He's just going for like the safest, stereotypical
this
nothing.
Is the thing that I want to talk to you guys about, though, in the making of documentaries and the telling of quote unquote quote truths, because Jeter wants to be perceived a certain way, and he's not going to tell you the gift basket stories. He's going to deny the gift basket stories. He's not going to tell you what his single life in New York was like. You say the stories are not interesting. I say Magic Johnson's is. He won't tell it. What happened to your marriage that your wife is finding out that you're sleeping with 6 women at a time, but they're not talking to you about it now? They're going back to the archival footage that they have to use back when you were discussing it more honestly in public than you are when you make your own story 30 years later, and you don't want to conjure up for your wife what all of that felt like. So the story's there, but you're not telling it because you're giving over the access and the power in exchange for let's tell this Magic's way. Let's tell it Derek Jeter's way. Stugotz sat down for 90 minutes with the makers of the 30 for 30, Mike and the Mad Dog. And this is all they used from Stugotz, next to 2 hours talking about how pioneering they were.
The theme song to Mike and the Mad Dog was sing-along worthy. Mike and the Mad Dog, Sports Radio 66. They're talking sports, going at it as hard as they can. Mike and the Mad Dog on the fan.
That's it. They talked to him for hours, and all they used of Stugotz was this.
They're talking sports, going at it as hard as they can.
Still out of tune as ever.
They're talking sports, going at it as hard as they can.
The Jets.
I want to be fair to Jeter because I just thought of one thing he says. He goes after Chad Curtis, some random outfielder, and because I guess they had some spat or something, and that the media asked him about, and he was just like, "Well, no one liked Chad Curtis. I wasn't the only one." And it was just that's it. That's if you're looking for
sports, going at it as hard as they can.
If you're looking for something, Chad Curtis he goes after.
They're talking sports, going at it as hard as they can.
You know, I'm really jealous of the people in documentaries that are picked out to be the exposition, where their whole role in the movie is to just get you from scene to scene. They don't want to have a narrator. So there's one guy whose job it is to take you from scene to scene. Oh, man, in the summer of 2003, the Yankees made a big acquisition by bringing in Alex Rodriguez. And that's his whole job. His whole job is to bring along the plot without them having to insert some sort of device for it.
That is all of Drive to Survive, Woody. Yeah, Drive to Survive is
Will
like
Buxton's role.
Oh my God.
So jealous.
There's a meme of this guy, Will Buxton, who's a F1 reporter, journalist, very popular guy, where like early on in the first season, he's like, the driver who finishes in first wins the race. Like he states something so obvious, and now it's become.
But in like a dramatic tone.
Yes.
The driver who finishes in first wins the race.
It is so funny, and now everyone posts like memes about him just stating obvious facts. It's become like the Booger McFarlane meme.
In the 30 for 30 on the U that Billy Corbin, I was one of his last interviews, and he framed it as the flattering of, we want the perspective of the last interview. But I realized when he was asking questions and asking me to repeat the questions in my answers, that he just wanted my voice saying.
You were the exposition guy.
But I wasn't, I didn't know. I didn't know I was the exposition guy. I did not know I was being used that way until I got there and I was asked to repeat the question.
Why did the coverage of Miami feel racist? I love that trope of documentaries. Oh, no. And usually it's not just like one guy saying, and then in the summer of 2003, the Yankees traded for Alex Rodriguez. They'll spackle with like 2 other additional voices. And then 03 happened. Oh boy. 03.
And then for the best one is on 60 Minutes when the reporter will, like, the follow-up question is just a statement, and like they hypnotize the subject into just repeating it back to them. So it would be like, so then it became a pandemic. So then it became a pandemic. And it was like, it's just the whole goal of the question is to get it repeated back to you.
What is the television thing that you guys always notice that is maybe industry inside that people aren't paying attention to? Because the walk and talk that is used in broadcast videos where you just see the reporter walking with a person down the street that's being interviewed and you're like, this is not in any way natural. This was forced.
Yes.
They need something.
Again, Formula One, great at this. The pit lane interview.
The walk and talk.
Max, what will it mean to win today? Well, I think it will mean that I'll have more points in the championship. Very good. Thank you, Max. It's like, what? Why did we do that?
60 Minutes is good at the walking. They do occasional walk and talk, but occasionally they'll interview somebody that works for the CIA or something like that, and they'll get B-roll of this person walking upstairs with a bunch of like notebooks and notes and looking through stuff, just to really hammer it home that this is somebody that has someplace to go.
Right. It serves no function to the story.
At all.
It's just, here's this guy doing a job. His job is not visually appealing, so we're just going to get him walking down a hallway. There'd have been a point where he's like, no, I'm not convincing of a walk enough. You don't look like you're the head of the FBI.
Can you do that walk like 4 more times? Sure.
For me, I've gotten really good at spotting stock footage in news packages where maybe like 5 or 10 years ago, I'd see like a plane taking off and footage of like cars and think like, oh, they shot this specifically for this package. No.
Yeah, that's been sitting around in a file.
5 years ago from the Qatar airport. It has nothing to do with this story on coffee being made in South and Central America.
The one that I've noticed is on the ABC World News Tonight. Every single news story in the A block has the red breaking news banner on it. Every single one. Like, they have clearly done the research, and it shows that no matter what they're talking about, if you have the red breaking news banner up, people will stay and watch it. Such lemmings when it comes to the red breaking news graphic.
Whittingham, I wanted to ask you about why it is that you were saying that you were sad for Joe Buck. It is a great time to be Joe Buck.
Yeah.
He's about to have a career rejuvenation. He's been a prodigy. He's been a ridiculous career, unlike anything in broadcasting history, doing World Series games in his early 20s. Just we've never seen anything like it. And now he goes to ESPN with Troy Aikman to go give them some heft on Monday nights to make Monday feel better. Why were you feeling sad for Joe Buck?
So he's been chronicling his hair loss journey on social media, one step at a time. I guess he went and got another procedure, and you can kind of see him basically, this is where they move the follicles from, and it's just trying to migrate as many follicles as possible to the top so he can have a decent bit of hair on television. And I feel bad because he revealed in his book that it almost cost him his career because he had anesthesia for one of these hair plugs procedure, and he came back and it affected one of his vocal cords. And the fact that that already happened and he went for another one is startling to me. At some point, it's like, dude, you're very good at play-by-play. You're not on camera most of the time. Maybe he wants to be a host in some other variety. He was on that PGA Championship watch-along show for ESPN. But you're incredible at your job. You can lose your hair. It's okay. It's going. Let it go. Wave it goodbye.
10th procedure. It's his 10th
Well, he
hair
said he's
transplant.
addicted to them.
Yeah.
And it's the vanity of television. Television does not allow for this to be a secure space when it comes to the vanities. Mike Ryan has been announcing for months now that he refuses to age anymore, and he's arrived in his mid-30s. When you've been a wonder boy, and people notice this, don't tell me you don't notice when anyone from Mickey Rourke to Tim Legler's on television, and you realize that they're fighting the vanities on television because you don't want to be seen as getting older when you've been a face of something young.
Do I notice the vanities of Mickey Rourke and Tim Legler on television? It's an interesting question.
So Tim Legler's losing his hair.
It's not just hair.
And then Legler started losing his hair.
I don't know if Legler's
No,
losing
he
his
didn't
hair.
lose his hair. He actually has a good lettuce, but it's a darker hue.
Are we doing Tim Legler's
No
Halloween?
shame, by the way. Tell me you're colorist. Tim, tell me you're colorist.
Are we doing Tim Legler's Hall of Fame extravaganza somewhere in Florida as he moves his home? Is Billy Gill going to go? What are we doing with that? Because I really would like to celebrate Halloween in October with Tim Legler and not get, as often happens around here, surprised that Halloween is in October.
Yeah, I have an agenda of things to plan. So we've established some of our plans for football season. That was the kind of biggest thing we were planning for. So now Halloween, we got about 3 months to plan. I think we'll hopefully get this one done, Dan.
Yes.
What about grid of death punishments? People have been asking. What are you rolling your eyes about, Jessica?
Grid Schmid. Let's just do a little, put it all in the past day. Like, let's pick a day where we decide before this next football season starts. If you haven't done them yet, we're good. Amnesty for all.
Yeah, there's no honor in that.
No, I'm not.
For the
We're not having
audience.
that. We're gonna get to work on doing some of these in the month of August.
I like Jess's idea.
Yeah.
No.
The idea that only serves us.
Yeah.
The idea that only serves
The audience is fine. They don't care.
Stugotz.
They forgot about it already.
Well,
They
we
don't
can't
even
do grid of death again, and we can't sell it to sponsors if we're not going to honor the punishments. Like, we're just that if that's what you guys decide, then the money disappears for that. We can't keep, and the segment disappears too. The segment
The
disappears.
sponsor just wants the line read.
The segment will disappear.
No, the sponsor wants to see us pay off our punishments, and we mentioned the grid of death is brought to you by whomever. And so, as a matter of fact, I think I might be able to knock out two this week. Inter Miami play a Wednesday night 10:30 p.m. game on the West Coast. I think I'm just gonna do the game and stay in the stadium, and it'll end. The broadcast will end at 1 a.m. I might as well just sleep in the stadium.
If you spend the night in a stadium, I'll do one of my punishments next week. If you actually do that,
I'm gonna do it. If they let me. I don't want security to kick me out, but if they let me, then
where would you sleep, do you think? Do you have a place that because really you can get away with just like sleeping 3 hours that night uncomfortably is what's going to end up happening.
No, I'd want to commit. I want to stay. If I'm done at 1, I want to stay until at least 7:30.
no, you have to be like doing the whole thing. It's a slumby. You have to bring a toothbrush. You have to brush your teeth in the press box bathroom. You have to bring a little cot, maybe a sleeping bag. Like, you have to use like an actual like little blanket to keep yourself warm. Like, we're doing the whole thing if you're doing this, Witty.
I'm in. I'll make it a slumby. I might go for like one of those like pajama outfits because I feel like that might be befitting for me. Again, wearing one of those little hats.
Were you guys the ones as kids
Scrooge.
with the sleepovers? I always loved the idea of a sleepover, and then at like 2 a.m. I would just call my parents. Be like, not
You were
having
the
it.
call your
Not having it,
parents
Clive.
kid. I hated that kid.
It was often like I never slept over really like far away. It was like kids in my neighborhood, so it was like walking distance. But yeah, multiple times, probably like over 10 times in my whole childhood. My dad at like 2 a.m. is just walking down the street to Jonathan's house to come get me.
Everyone hated that kid, right, Dan?
I mean, come on.
Just
Everyone hated that dad
spend
coming
the night.
over.
It's fine. It'll be uncomfortable.
I'm
but
not
you're
having
7.
it though.
You're gonna
I
freak out.
wake up at 2 a.m. and I'm just like, I want my bed.
It's more that there's
I was
like
spoiled.
These are too many kids. This is too many kids. It's like I'm around 6 kids right now. Like I like to have me time and me space.
But you're doing, Chris Cody, you're doing sleep overs at someone's house. To me, the excitement was when someone could sleep over at ours.
No, that was much better, right? You always like to host.
Of course, you want
'Cause
to
it's
be
your
at
bed.
your home field. Like, oh, I get to show you where the blankets are. I'm the host. I'm the cool kid.
Did you ever entertain where someone had to sleep in your father's garage? Because that seems unpleasant.
It's still to this day. No, it's still to the. Alex Benson still talks about the Yoo-hoos at my house because he didn't have Yoo-hoos at his house, so he loved coming over. And we had Yoo-hoos. The fridge was just fully stocked and loaded.
From the Raconteurs?
Well, that's his brother. Yes. No, Brendan Benson is from the Raconteurs. Alex is his younger brother. But yes, it is the same.
The
Benson
Bensons
family.
would come over and have Yoo-hoo.
Brendan Benson was not over. It was his brother Alex.
the shitty brother from the famed Raconteurs.
But I guess from what you're saying, because Brendan has gone on to be in the Raconteurs. But Alex, great guy. Right.
And known Yoo-hoo thief.
No, he would have a couple Yoo-hoos, but I would say, go for it, man. Live.
The Yoo-hoo does taste better when it's your friend.
Oh yeah, it is. In hindsight, though, the Yoo-hoo's the can. A can of Yoo-hoo.
That's no
You
good.
don't know what Yoo-hoo
Jessica
is?
just said she doesn't know what Yoo-hoo is. What?
I'm going to go get you a
No,
Yoo-hoo.
you know what? Jessica would be mortified by Yoo-hoo. Jessica would think
it's water.
It's chocolate milk-ish product.
But they want you to think it's milk.
It's not
It's
milk.
chocolate
It's
drink.
not milk.
It's not milk, and it's not a healthy. It's not whatever
it's
it is.
so bad for you.
It's not good. It's sugar chocolate water. It's what Yoo-hoo is.
But you shake it well, it's delicious.
Better than Hoopina?
It's
Yes.
totally
Or
different.
Idomber?
Totally. No, those two things are totally different. Why did you do
Well,
that?
because Jessica
I know.
has been
Mystery
trying
crate call back then, you
local
wouldn't understand.
delicacies. You can have a materva, maybe.
These are all delightful drinks. They're none of them are anything in the realm of Yoo-hoo. You should do as content her drinking Yoo-hoo just because she's never had milk, and she would treat this as sugary sewage water. That she would not like what the Yoo-hoo product is. Even if you look it up, I think you're going to be mortified by the
the whole time
ingredients.
you guys were making a euphemism for sex, to be honest.
Yoo-hoo?
There was Yoo-hoo in Greg Cody's
Yoo-hoo?
garage. I was a
Yoo-hoo?
little weirded out, so I just didn't.
Over the course of the last few years, as I have seen beyond watching the sons and daughters of athletes that I've watched before, that I've covered before, populate all of sports in a way that make aging inescapable during the pandemic and beyond. The loss of people, of parts of my childhood, and in the case of Vin Scully, the loss of what feels like a time that will never be allowed to return. A broadcaster aging with grace for many, many years, getting a heroic ending in retirement and a heroic ending in life that makes the eulogy so florid that I'm not sure in the way that this dumpster fire of sports commentary has so much acid in. I don't believe that there are very many who will get to be what Vin Scully was for a time, which is a graceful storyteller, beloved by all, who made the athletic experience different than whatever it is you feel toward Joe Buck. Joe Buck is great at this, but the baseball announcer from a different time who becomes your friend, because in the original incarnation, he's someone who exists in your head. He's doing it on the radio. He's doing it through the static. He is telling you black and white from the times of black and white radio, not television. He's telling you what was happening in the pastoral game during a slower time when you weren't in your devices and you needed him to be your eyes. You needed him to be a poet and universally beloved. The commentator is just not allowed to be that anymore. The baseball broadcaster, that feels like we bury that with Vin Scully. It goes with him. Hell, even in Miami, Dave Van Horn didn't stay great. He's a Hall of Famer, but you saw as he aged out that he wasn't still great. And Vin Scully was universally respected by his peers as the best for putting you in a place when you didn't have the eyes for it, and he took you there slowly in a different America to tell you the stories that were moving. He knew when to sit out. You never saw the ego. We had him on the show. We were deferential when he was on the show. We treated him like a gentleman legend who had walked in the room as a bit of a ghost. He was a number one seed because it seemed like his life on the air for more than 50 years, It seemed like his life was as it was described as his number one seed in our tournament, because if you saw him, he always looked distinguished and somehow sounded even more impeccable than he looked, and this is how he looked.
Vin Scully looks like the one real human in a Disney movie filled with animated talking animals.
And they're happy animals. Like, it's a happy world. It's not like there's a bitter chipmunk running around there who's trying to bite people. Nobody's rabid. Everything is pleasant. And he's
impossible. There always has to be a foil in the happy animal kingdom that they have to overcome. Yeah.
Let's play some of the sounds from our interview with Vin Scully so people can remember fondly that we are really burying a time, because there are pieces of my childhood. I've told you all of the stories where I see the places that I played on as a kid in Miramar, paved and different and whatever. All that remains for me there are the memories, and there is nostalgia and sadness there. But there have been deaths recently that have hit me harder than deaths used to hit me, because I feel like I'm burying something with thudding finality that I'm never going to be able to see again.
And it's also fairly cool for him as well that I was going through all the library of stuff, and we got to do this for him when he was living, because he retired in 2016, and everyone did their tributes, and he was able to step away and appreciate all of the love from Dodger fans. He was their broadcaster for 50 years, 60 years, and he was able to experience this while he was living. I think that's really cool. But to your point about how this won't exist anymore, I just don't think it's almost impossible to hide your personality anymore, right? I think Vin Scully, I don't know if he hid his personality or if he was just always regal man.
Groomed, perfect, impeccable is what he was giving off. I'm assuming that the 30 for 30 in 10 years will uncover all sorts of things that will make us uncomfortable. Just something terrible. You really went to a place that I did not go, because it requires him to go in with
that was Billy?
That was Roy. I think that was Roy.
You were framed by Billy there, Roy. What do you mean you think it was Roy? It was the painkiller.
I think I heard
it was
Roy
clearly
say
you. It sounded nothing.
I've been hearing voices all day.
You just did you have Vin Scully walking into it in his suit?
Roy?
Let's play some more of the sound. I meant to start the show today with hot, shot, hit, foul, but we have a couple of sounds here from the Vin Scully folder that I'd like to remind people of in the name of love and honor and nostalgia.
Back about my third year, about 1952, the Dodgers were playing Cincinnati, and Cincinnati had an outfielder named Lloyd Merriman. I'll never forget it. And Lloyd hit a ball foul, and my mind told me to say hot, shot, hit, foul.
No,
and it never came out that way. and everybody in the booth fell down, and I was absolutely mortified. And the reason I remember Lloyd Merriman, I started filling. He's a former Marine Air Corps pilot, saw combat in Korea. I did on and on. That really, that had to be, considering how young I was, that was about it.
I don't know that I can give him a better compliment for grace and professionalism than to say, I don't know if he invented it, but it feels to me like he invented it. The idea of getting out of the way, being silent, and letting the sound speak. Because you've put down your ego. You know you're great at this. You don't hiccup a word. You go years and years and years broadcasting, and it's just all clean and slow and the right pace. And he knew when to get out of the way and just let the sound and the emotion of an arena or a ballpark speak to the audience.
Two prime examples of this. One, it's the Hank Aaron home run that broke the Babe Ruth record, and the Kirk Gibson home run in the World Series.
Very few broadcasters have that kind of reverence and respect for what it is that they're broadcasting and who it is that they are and what their role is around the framing of moments for history, because when you're in the presence of them, you need to nail those calls. Those are calls that come with pressure and they are calls that echo through sports for many, many years, and he knew when and how to get out of the way. And instead of saying, Al Michaels, do you believe in miracles, just letting what surrounded him speak for him.
And your instinct as a broadcaster there is very self-important. I have to nail this, right? Like, I have to come up with the line that people will remember. I have to say the thing that is memorable with whatever's just happened. And Vin never thought that that was his role. His role was the moment will live in perpetuity, not me. He had like a very, I don't want to say self-deprecating, but almost like, this isn't about me. And again, you do not see that in sports broadcasting.
I want to ask the audiences before we play him I think he's just doing a grocery list so that you can hear how soothing and tranquil his words are when, again, before television, you didn't really he had to be your eyes. But as Amazon goes to the Dude Perfect guys and creates all this ancillary second screen programming around football, when I say this time we bury it with Vin Scully, can you guys in your imagination tell me who it is going to make me wrong on that one? How it is that someone in the modern age can make me wrong on that one by being beloved broadcaster that gets it right for 60 years, right until the very end, and we bury him with grace. The eulogies are not complimentary because they have to be. It's because we don't have anything else. We don't have anything else but grace, gentlemen, and voice for generations.
You're never going to find that again. That's it. It's done.
I think Doc Emmerich deserves a shout here. I know that he doesn't broadcast hockey anymore, but when he passes, like, I don't think people have a negative word to say about that guy.
Constantly cheery for different reasons, right? It's not the grace of the broadcast, although he was great at the broadcast. It's just because he constantly brought what felt like a sunshine to what it is that he was watching, a joy of watching it, and not a whole lot of people are going to say very much that's negative about him either, but I do think he pales I think everyone in the history of the industry pales in the shadow of the man that we just lost at 94.
And the art of not talking, that's pretty good. But the art of storytelling, he is actually very, very good at. All wrapped around actually calling a baseball game, unlike Tom Brenneman.
This is the other thing, right? Sports will not allow, that was unnecessary. Sports will not allow the time and space and modern society. Baseball moved at a pace that allowed him to weave a tapestry required that he weaved a tapestry around the game. We don't move at that speed anymore, but lest you not know what it is that we lost today, just here's Vin Scully reading a grocery list to soothe you.
We've got a dozen eggs, a quart of milk, a loaf of bread, a can of frozen orange juice, 6 small white onions, a green pepper, garlic powder, a package of American cheese, pickles, kosher that is, bananas, cornflakes, maple syrup, toothpaste, paper towels, toilet paper, 6 bars of soap, hot dogs, quarter pound of chopped meat, steak, lamb chops, package of spaghetti, 3 apples, bologna, cottage cheese, a pound of butter, 2 ears of corn, beer, ketchup, peanut butter, soy sauce, and a half a pound of coffee.
That would cost like $6,000 at Publix right now.
Whole Foods.
10,000 at Whole Foods.
When he read it, it was like $17.80.
It sounded from the static like it was the year 1780.
We've got a dozen eggs, a quart of milk, a loaf of bread, a can of frozen orange juice, 6 small white onions, a green pepper, garlic powder, a package of American cheese, pickles, kosher that is, bananas, cornflakes, maple syrup, toothpaste, paper towels, toilet paper, 6 bars of soap, hot dogs, quarter pound of chopped meat, steak, lamb chops, package of spaghetti, 3 apples, bologna, cottage cheese, a pound of butter, 2 ears of corn, beer, ketchup, peanut butter, soy sauce, and a half a pound of coffee.
I want to have echo because I don't want this day to be the end of what we get of Vin Scully. I want any time in an interview that we're talking to somebody and we think it's bullshit, I want to play Vin Scully saying just this word.
Bologna. Bologna. Bologna.
a can of orange juice,
Frozen.
toilet paper.
Just it all sounded so wonderful.
Cornflakes.
Put it on the poll, Guillermo. Has anyone made toilet paper sound as wonderful as Vin Scully? What is the story that we have there that might explain to the audience not familiar with this man or this time? Jessica, we are always amused when you don't know what Yoo-hoo is or something from the past is ancient. Oh, Billy just learned that she doesn't know what Yoo-hoo is.
You don't know what Yoo-hoo is?
No, and they told me the other day, but I already forgot. What was it again?
Chocolate water.
You forgot what Yoo-hoo was? We told you and you forgot.
It's delicious.
It's what the Sims did when they were having sex, isn't it? Isn't that what you did on the Sims? The characters did Yoo-hoo, or was it Woo-hoo? I can't recall. But it was a sex euphemism for sure. I loved playing The Sims, Dan. Oh my God.
Do you know anything about Vin
No.
Scully?
Oh, yes, Vin Scully, I do.
And how did that get grandfathered in? Because I would assume a lot of people listening to this don't even, if he retired in 2016, you weren't listening to Dodger games, which is what he was doing the last, I assume.
Yeah, but Vin Scully's just one of those names everyone knows. I never listened to Dodgers games growing up because, like, I didn't really care about the Dodgers. I wasn't, like, that big of a baseball fan, but everyone knows Vin Scully. Like, he transcends calling Dodgers games. He's just a person everyone knows.
Well, I thought everyone knew Yoo-hoo too. And
Don't compare Yoo-hoo to Vin Scully. That's just, one is more famous than the other, I would venture to guess.
Put it on the poll.
One we are eulogizing after his passing. The other, no one eulogized when they stopped making it.
Billy, what are you laughing about so much that you're
Roy
putting...
said something.
I
else
was
back
not
here.
me.
It was just
I
out
did
of
not say
control
that.
today.
No, I am more respectful than that. No.
Billy just put his DraftKings sweater over his mouth, which made me know he was up to no good. No one benefited more from the mask the last 2 years than Billy, because I can never tell when it was that he was lighting the fuse back there. But let's hear a story in Vin Scully's words, and any story. What do you have back there, Whittingham?
You know, Bumgarner tells a story which, in a sense, reminds you of what it takes to be a big league ball player. It's 2 years ago in spring training, and he and his wife were roping cattle, which is what they do. 1-1 pitch, sinker low, ball 2-2-1, and they were startled by a large snake, and Madison thought it was a rattlesnake, so he grabbed an axe and he hacked the snake to pieces. But there's something more to the story. 2-1 pitch, low, ball 3-1. When his wife Allie and an expert field dresser examined what was left of the snake, she found 2 baby jackrabbits inside pieces of the snake and extracted them. 3-1 pitch to Turner, way inside, ball 4. And after she extracted them, a short while later, the Bumgarners noticed that one of the rabbits had moved slightly. It was alive. Well, his wife brought the rabbit back to their apartment. For the next few days, they kept it warm, bottle nursed it, and the rabbit soon was healthy enough that they released it into the wild. And Madison said, just think about how tough that rabbit was. First it gets eaten by a snake, then the snake gets chopped to pieces, then it gets picked up by people and lives. It's all true. Meanwhile, line drive base hit to center by Hendrick, and the Dodgers are in business, first and second and nobody out. So I guess really the morale to the whole story about the rabbit and the snake, you've got to somehow survive. You've got to somehow battle back. A lesson well taught for all of us.
With Trick Daddy playing in the background.
And Whittingham, because you can't go to the grave in peace without the internet attacking you, making the face of, did he say morale correctly? Moral?
It's a moral of a story, not a morale of a story.
I mean, come on, let the man rest in power, please.
Christ almighty.
It's a little long story.
I suppose
Land
you're
a plane.
better than Vin Scully too, not just Jim Gray. You're better. You wouldn't have said that incorrectly. The sound.
I am the reason why Vin Scully will never happen again. Because there's always a jackass like me who's calling games.
We were eulogizing the man, and all you noticed was the word that he got wrong.
But the rest of the time, it's like, what a great story. Like, this is exactly what that's the backdrop of baseball. I don't like baseball broadcasting, because so much of that is storytelling, and basically you're doing a talk show for 3 hours around a game, and a lot of people really enjoy that. I don't, but
you didn't enjoy the snake being chopped up.
No. I'm saying I deeply admire those that can. I find baseball broadcasting, like the guys who do that, and should be more women, but the people who do that every night, I have an immense respect for, because you gotta fill so much time, and there was nobody better at it than Vin Scully. That's why he is the legendary figure, because he can tell a 1 and 45-second story about a snake and a rabbit while a baseball game is happening, and it actually makes sense.
The story is made better by baseball sounds in the background, where you hear the glove and you hear the bat.
The 2-1.
Jessica, you're yawning.
Oh, I'm ready to take a nap.
Oh, Christ almighty.
It's not fast enough,
It's a
right?
good clip. No, it's the sounds of baseball.
It's soothing.
Cozy.
It's soothing. It really
You
is.
don't have a blanket?
Also, Vin Scully miscalling as a nature documentarian, because he's like, and then the snake was caught. Like it sounds exactly. He's like American David Attenborough. I think he might actually be, even though the thing he narrated was baseball. There's a serenity about it that's so beautiful to listen to.
I believe that right now what you should do is play it again with just one minor alteration, so that we can get the punctuation on his life, on his career, on this segment just right.
You know, Bumgarner tells a story which
You don't have to play that. I just want someone to say, like, awkwardly in the middle of that, morale, like loud, replace the word and just have the segment end that
okay,
way.
I was gonna play it back and then just shout morale in the middle of it.
However you want to, you guys want to make the joke so that we have the
Yeah.
ending that we need is fine.
All right, here I'll play it.
You know, Bumgarner tells a story which, in a sense, reminds you of what it takes to be a big league ball player. 2 years ago in spring training, and he and his wife were roping cattle, which is what they do. 1-1 pitch, sinker low, ball 2-1, and they were startled by a large snake, and Madison thought it was a rattlesnake, so he grabbed an axe and he hacked the snake to pieces. But there's something more to the story. 2-1 pitch, low, ball 3-1. When his wife Allie and an expert field dresser examined what was left of the snake, she found 2 baby jackrabbits inside pieces of the snake and extracted them. 3-1 pitch to Turner, way inside, ball 4. And after she extracted them, a short while later, the Bumgarners noticed that one of the rabbits had moved slightly. It was alive. Well, his wife brought the rabbit back to their apartment. For the next few days, they kept it warm, bottle nursed it, and the rabbit soon was healthy enough that they released it into the wild. And Madison said, just think about how tough that rabbit was. First it gets eaten by a snake, then the snake gets chopped to pieces, then it gets picked up by people and lives. It's all true. Meanwhile, line drive base hit to center by Hendrick, and the Dodgers are in business, first and second and nobody out. So I guess really the morale of the whole story about the rabbit and the snake, you've got to somehow survive. You've got to somehow battle back. A lesson well taught for all of us.
You ruined it. And Billy also ruined it. I wasn't even laughing at the way that you ruined it. I was laughing at the way Billy ruined it in my ear. Go ahead and tell the audience what you whispered to me, Billy.
Well, I mean, we all know that rabbit was eaten by another snake, like shortly thereafter, right?
God.
You spit at me. That rabbit was 100% eaten by another snake the next day. And I thought the funniest part of that was the sequential. He hacked the snake to pieces, the 2-1.
It's just bad baseball. Baseball is the 2-1.
It's always there for you. It helped him. It was a cheat code on his stories. The ability to hear the catcher's mitt pop and him segue between. That's what happened to Brenneman. Roy brought up Brenneman. The reason that was so funny is because he had to genuflect and call the game. He had to stop what he was doing, which was the end of his career. What are you making faces about, Jessica? He didn't have
He
to?
didn't have to. That was why it was funny was
But for a
he
baseball broadcaster, it's
felt
like
like
the
he
rubber
had
hammer
to.
hitting your knee. You must.
Ugh.
It's instinctual. You hear that sound, it's like, wait, what happened? Oh, it swung on and hit foul.
Play the Brenneman sound so that we... Oh, Roy ruined it already, and so did Billy, and so did you. You all ruined it. We can't have nice things. We can't have good things. Roy, in the middle of the Vin Scully eulogy, you volunteered the Brenneman scandal.
How dare you?
And he screamed sex dungeon also.
I did not. That was not me.
Castellanos to lead things off. Jim Day's going to be taking us the rest of the way through this game as Holland takes over on the mound. I made a comment earlier tonight that I guess went out over the air that I am deeply ashamed of. If I have hurt anyone out there, I can't tell you how much I say from the bottom of my heart. I'm so very, very sorry. I pride myself and think of myself as a man of faith. As there's a drive in a deep left field by Castellanos, it will be a home run. And so that'll make it a 4-0 ball game.
I hit a low point last night in my search for a new TV show to watch. I finished Better Call Saul rewatch. I finished basically every show. And I was just kind of scrolling through Hulu. I mean, I have seen almost every show.
It can't be true. I mean, I can't find one show to finish.
You've seen
all of them?
so
Like,
much.
they're like HBO Max has dozens and dozens of shows.
You watch The Great?
Yeah, all of it.
You watch The Old Man?
No, what is that?
Oh, it's good. The Old
Where's
Man
that?
is good.
Took me 2 tries, ladies and gentlemen.
Welcome, Amin.
Where were you last
Welcome.
night?
Hitting the bell.
answer that.
Yes, The Old Man is very good. The first episode shows the dude, Jeff Bridges, in an action role, more believable than any you've ever seen, even though I always picture him in a bathrobe. And I can't believe that 72-year-old Jeff Bridges pulled off action.
He's 72? Where does the time go?
Well, I didn't know about The Old Man, so I turned on Storage Wars.
Oh, wow. That's a good one.
And it was kind of weird because apparently they open the storage locker and then everyone gets to see it, but you can't touch anything. You can't go inside. And based off of what you see, you decide if you're going to bid on it. And then everyone bids on it, and then someone wins it, and then they go through the items. And then by the end of the show, they figure out how much money they're going to be able to sell this stuff for. And so one of the guys in the episode I was watching found a prosthetic leg.
Was it Barry?
I'm not
Was it Dave?
sure. It might have been Dave.
Found a prosthetic leg.
Yeah, and I was wondering, what happens if they find a real leg or like a dead body? Like, do they not air that episode? Do they have scouts who go through the stuff first?
So before we answer that question, the other day I was taking my dogs for a walk and found a severed goat leg. Just one.
What?
Yeah, just one
Oh,
goat
that's
leg
Miami.
on the corner.
That's Santeria.
And I
That's
saw it,
Santeria.
and I looked at them and I go, "Don't bite that," and we kept walking. But it was just one severed goat leg.
That's a religious sacrifice, correct?
Yeah, I was just wondering where the rest of it was because one leg. Really? Oh.
It's alarming to find a single goat leg in the street. Put it on the
But it
poll at
wasn't.
LeBatardShow, but not in Miami.
Yeah, I just kind of was like, business as usual. And it was like the good part was it didn't smell yet. So you just kept walking because I didn't know. Yeah, it was like relatively new.
Fresh.
How's he going to play this year? Is he okay?
Oh, man.
It's the only part of him that the Dolphins got. What's the answer to her question? What's the answer?
Billy, you seem like you know. Are you a producer on Storage Wars secretly?
No. There have been rumors though that they faked some of that stuff, which I don't know if that's
You
true or
think?
not. Yeah, that they would just
Wait,
dump
what?
Yeah,
On a
they would-
reality show?
They would dump valuable things inside. Like there's lawsuits and stuff like that.
Well, how have they not arrived at the dead body then if they're faking stuff? Like, you have to arrive at the dead body.
Sweep, Dano.
Sweet.
Is that still a thing?
Barely. And it's only for local television stations.
I think think Sweeps Week is a thing for like Celebrity Wheel of Fortune. Like I don't think.
Do you think that at a local television station or a network, go out Sweeps Week, lads?
Put it on the poll, please, Guillermo at LeBatard Show. Is there still such a thing as Sweeps Week in television?
There is one bit of programming that makes every single Sweeps Week. You know that it sweeps when on Tonight at 11, dirty restaurants where you might be eating, but there's rat poo all over your food. I'm telling you, that is a ratings
I'd rather not
winner
know.
in local news. Really?
Yeah, I'd rather just eat rat poop like baked into some of like my chili fries or something than know that it was in there.
Because you wouldn't know, right?
Yeah.
This is why you have kidney stones.
Oh, wow.
Oh, goodness me.
I don't think that rat poop in his food is the reason that he has kidney stones. I don't think that's a clinical diagnosis.
Well, it's like his lack of not caring if he's eating poop more so.
Well, it's not that he doesn't care. It's that if he's going to a restaurant, ignorance is bliss. You don't want to know that the restaurant you've been frequenting for 10 years serves rat poop with its things.
Isn't the root of ignorance, though, not caring, Dan?
Also, how can we just write off rat poop?
Yeah.
Maybe that's the seasoning that gives it that extra oomph.
It's like made of plague. Like rat poop is like 99% digested materials, 1% plague.
I gotta say, I was walking 2 nights ago, and I saw a rat here cross the street.
Did it look both ways?
It was so small and cuddly. I was like, oh, I was just in New York. The rats they stroll across the street.
I couldn't believe the first time I went to New York, I'm like in the distance, is that a horse? Like, I could not believe the size of the thing at 4 a.m. that decided this is the time I come out because New York is free. It seemed 50 times larger than any rat I'd ever seen in my life.
What an athlete, too. Have you ever seen him jump from you're in the subway station to jump from the tracks onto the platform? One bound. Amazing.
We know now for a fact that Pizza Rat was a hoax, right?
I don't know if the stuff going on in New York is hoaxy when they talk.
Specifically Pizza Rat, the viral sensation Pizza Rat. There was a Reply All episode about Pizza Rat years and years ago that seemed to imply that it was like an art stunt of some sort.
Tell the people who do not know.
I don't know what
for the
Pizza
people
Rat
who do not know.
Pizza Rat was a famous rat who was eating a slice of pizza in the subway.
Now, was he famous before he was eating the pizza?
No, he was famous because he was eating the pizza, and he was caught on video suspiciously by someone who then posted it to the internet, and then it went like super mega viral, although I guess you guys have never heard of it, so maybe viral on my corners of the internet. And then Pizza Rat became a sensation. He was just dragging a large slice of pizza around the subway, and people said, oh my God, look at this rat with a giant slice of pizza. It was very human-like, which is why it became famous, I think, this rat and this piece of pizza.
Well, and because we were surprised that a rat has the strength to move a giant slice of New York pizza.
You know how Google gives you the suggested questions? The first suggested question is Pizza Rat still alive? And the answer is an eater.com article from 2016 says, Pizza Rat is dead. Long live Pizza Possum.
Pizza Possum. So I worked for Vox, which owns Eater, and that was in 2016. So this is probably why Pizza Rat was like deep in my subconscious. It was also the year I moved to New York. But Pizza Rat was very famous. And then Reply All, which was a podcast by Gimlet Media, no longer exists because they got embroiled in a scandal as they were reporting about a scandal at Bon Appetit. Very long story. This happened in 2020. They did a entire like investigative episode about Pizza Rat and whether or not it was a hoax, whether or not someone planted this piece of pizza with a trained rat to then make the video, to then make it go viral. Because the rat, I mean, I'm watching the video now on Witty's screen. The rat looks like he knows what he's doing. Like, this rat has done this before. So was he trained? Was he not trained? Was this just a happenstance? Someone with an iPhone happened to be walking past Pizza Rat and happened to post it and it happened to go viral. I guess we'll never know.
Pizza Possum is terrifying.
Pizza Rat's not?
No. Pizza Possum is huge, and it's got hands, and it's holding the pizza, and it's eating the pizza. Pizza Rat was just flipping it over and over. Not scary at all. Kind of cute, actually.
Kind of cute. The giant rat moving a pizza. I want to address the question that Tony was asking off air when talking about storage wars, because he was asking, I think, more likely to find a brick of cocaine. And then, of course, Lewis chimes in irresponsibly, as he often does, and says, what would you guys do if you found a brick of cocaine? What would be your move after that?
Dan, well, the question originated because in these storage wars, a lot of things that are super valuable are things that are really old, right? One guy found like a violin from 1700 that was worth like $1 million.
An old music box was like
Exactly.
$700 in this episode.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like you find a baseball card of like, I don't know, somebody from the 1800s and it's worth $1 million and everybody freaks out. In Miami, we're not that old. So we don't have that kind of stuff that would, transcend time with baseball cards or musical instruments or whatever. We do have a lot of cocaine, and there was a lot of people using cocaine back in the 80s and storing it in different places, and maybe somebody put it into a box, and then somebody put it into another box, and all of a sudden it's in storage wars, and then, hey, here's an ounce, and it's like, wow, what do we do with this? Sell it.
I'll ask the question. Does cocaine go bad?
No, cocaine does not go bad.
Is it biodegradable?
40-year-old cocaine, just as good as a day.
Vacuum sealed, vacuum sealed, packaged up. Like, I don't know about that. I have a story.
You seem to be a little knowledgeable here, and you seem to be a little free with just the volunteered, the way that a doctor hits you on the knee and the knee kicks out, where you're like, sell it. I heard what you said. Well, there's danger in selling it, mainly that you'd lose a lot of your freedom.
That's depends, right? Depends on who you're selling it to, right? You can't sell it to the undercover down the street.
It does seem like you like,
but you got to know people that are dabbling in that kind of stuff, and then all of a sudden,
it would seem like a winning lottery ticket, right? Like
Correct.
you're like, because I don't know how much a brick of cocaine would go
36, 37.
for.
$4 grand, maybe.
No, 36, 37 grand.
You paying Rasheed Wallace? Some people are paying Dwayne Wade.
Exactly.
But can you get a finder's fee at least? Like if you tell the cops, like, hey, I found this, like, can I get a finder's fee for doing the right thing?
Is there a reward out for this missing brick of cocaine?
Yeah. No,
from
because
30
the
years
beautiful
ago?
thing is nobody knows where it is, right? It's been lost in the annals
Missing.
of time. All of a sudden, you pick it up, and they call it Disneyland. It's so good because from the 80s. That's what I heard. That's what they told me.
I've more than heard some of that. I have had awkwardly, and I just don't think people understand how prevalent this trade was in the 80s in Miami, and how many immigrants and exiles and transplants were coming here needing to make a living because so many people were doctors in Cuba and had to come over here and be plumbers or be resourceful about building a boat out of washing machines and stuff. There was a lot of desperation, and multiple times I have been introduced to people I care about, their parents, who are older, and you would never suspect of anything. And they were like, yep, had a couple of bricks here. It was a fairly common thing as a means of desperation. But let's answer his question. You find one now, right now. What do you do? Because I'm not going anywhere near selling it, unloading it, but I understand.
What are you doing? Hold on. You're saying you're not going. What are you
I'm just
going
to tell somebody where it is.
Who are you
and
gonna tell?
I'm going to tell authorities. I'm not going to be someone who holds on to that and tries to sell it.
Nope. Not doing a goddamn thing.
Go to the authorities. Hey, I found this cocaine.
You're not even going to, you're just going to leave it there.
Yeah. I'm gone, dude. I don't want those problems.
But now you own the storage unit and it has your name. So when they find it, it's your storage unit now.
Oh, that's right. It's in the storage unit.
Now you're going to get framed. Way to go, Roy. You didn't tell anybody, and you think they're going to believe you when you say it's not mine? Yeah.
Shit.
I was here when I got here.
I bought it. I don't know.
No one's answering my question. Are people afraid to say?
I think we're all stumped, to be honest.
Well, no, we're not stumped.
Not stumped.
We're not stumped.
We're not.
No one
We're
wants
just-
to be incriminated.
Well, I think
Right,
that you don't want to
exactly.
accept that most of your staff would probably find means of unloading it for financial gain.
Right. That's the thing is, do we want to sit in front of this microphone and basically say, I will go out trying to figure out how I can make lots of money off this? Right.
I'm proud of you guys because not one person said, I'm about to get a knife, slit it open, and bury my face in it. Just go to town.
Stugotz isn't here anymore.
Yeah, that's Stugotz's answer. He's
I
not
would
here.
like to
currently.
have a career in sports media, so I'm not going to say that either.
You think that gets in the
That
way
would not,
of a career
that
in
would
sports
not
media?
get in the way. If that, there would not be a
Oh,
the
Jess.
use of cocaine, unless you are caught, is not going to be something that gets in the way of any
No, I meant
careers.
admitting it on air, not doing it privately when no one finds out about it.
I don't think admitting on air that you would do that. I want honest answers to this question now that we're here and now that we're exploring this. Because I did hear somebody say, I don't even remember who it was, I would unload it to my shadiest friend.
No, I didn't say it was me who said that. So I didn't say I would unload it to my shadiest friend. I said I'd call my shadiest friend.
Well, doesn't that suggest that after that you
No,
will have
but-
unloaded
okay,
it?
I'd have to figure out logistically, right? So, shadiest friend. What's the risk here?
So you'd be calling Stugotz.
Perhaps. There are other candidates. But yeah, I would call my shadiest friend and just say, all right, what happens now?
What is the honest execution of this? Are all of you where Whittingham is with it? Is there agreement on this? Let's get honest answers to this, and let's risk our broadcasting careers, even though we're not actually risking them. This is a total hypothetical.
Hold on. Can we reestablish the scenario? Are we on the television show Storage Wars?
No, you purchased a storage unit.
Separately, off
Yes,
camera.
not a storage war situation, just in a regular storage war.
Is this legit? Is there a paper trail, or am I just
Yes.
like, hey, I'll take this off your hands. Here's $50 cash.
No, we're playing the game. We're playing the game, but like, yeah, that's how they actually do. They do these auctions where you have to bid on it. That's the show is based on something that actually happens in real life. So it's not just the guys just like, hey, you want this? There's actual people competing for it.
So a non-televised storage war.
Yes, it's not a TV. Yeah, not a TV show.
I am making the hypothetical simply and exclusively. You have happened upon a brick of cocaine. What do you do? What are your next steps? All of them. Roy has just lost a portion of his life because he's been framed, probably by Billy. Billy is somewhere making a lot of money as Roy is in jail because he's done nothing.
2 Americas.
You're the idiot who decided to do nothing with a
run away.
with a bit of
run away. No. All right, I have a storage unit now. I have no choice but to inform the authorities. And I got paperwork to back me up saying, like, hey, my name is on this storage unit.
But that's not the choice you made moments ago.
I forgot about the storage unit situation. Yeah.
Can they carbon date the cocaine? Right? Can they tell how old the cocaine is?
So I have read a very long Vice article about how drugs
Naturally.
age. So it basically says there are 8 or 9 elements that make cocaine, and if any one of them fall apart, the entire effect of the product is gone. So if it has encountered any air, any light, any water, it's done for. But maybe tightly sealed.
This is vacuum sealed.
Tony was on top of it.
Chance, but they say it takes like it said. Maybe your cocaine can last months, maybe even years. And so, but I presume years is probably a small number of years. I couldn't imagine 40.
Yeah, 40 years seems like a lot.
It's a fairly common thing in South Florida for people to discover. This is not an unusual thing. As it's not even a hypothetical. On the shores of the beach, this stuff just lands.
But that you got to keep moving. Like that you like see and probably just keep walking. You're like, I did not see that, right? But in this scenario, it's in your possession because you own it. So you have to kind of decide, what am I going to do here? Because looking the other way isn't really an option.
So Dan, I have a story. Of
course you do.
It's secondhand, third hand really, from the person that told me. I'm not going to say any names.
Attaboy, just add layers. Fourth hand.
Realistically down the line. But there was a house that was being remodeled, right? And they were blowing, like Billy's remodeled this house.
Walls.
It was in the wall.
It's always in the walls.
You can find cash there too. In a lot of
I've watched
Miami
those
homes.
arc as
No
well.
cash, unfortunately, but there was a sizable brick, and the person was able to open it and make do with it.
Your
But-
answer is different if it is cash, right? If you locate cash, are you saying anything to the authorities?
Oh, different situation.
Absolutely not.
It belongs to me now. Find this
My money.
Well, that's a crime too.
No, it's
I
not.
don't care.
Victimless crime. It's a victimless crime.
If you, for example, if there's a bank that can be, if the bank has given you money in your account and you just keep it and don't say anything to anyone, that is a crime. So I am assuming that it can also be a crime if someone discovers that you've got ill-gotten money. If it's discovered that it's not yours, I don't think it's fine. I don't think the rule is finders keepers.
Crime. What is this crime? If the bank makes an error in your... Have you never played Monopoly?
Yeah.
collect $20?
If the bank makes a big error in your favor, there was some person, I believe, in London recently who just left their job and everything because the company overpaid by a lot of money, and he just took the money and ran off. And yes, that's a crime. Don't do that. If the bank makes a mistake, do not do that with a great deal of money.
If they catch it, they'll ask for it back, but it's not a crime.
It is a crime.
No, it's a crime. It's not your money.
Not if you don't give it back.
Like
if
you
don't
give it back,
give it back,
everything's all good.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, I thought you guys wanted me to hold
If you
this for you.
volunteered to give it back, not if you get
No.
caught not giving it back and then give it back.
You could just be like, I didn't know it was there.
No harm,
I didn't
no
see
foul.
it. How often do you guys check your bank accounts? I didn't know it was there.
Okay.
I gotta be the one to point out to you that you made a mistake? What kind of world are we living in? Well, all of a sudden the onus is on me for your misdeeds?
So if you buy a house, okay, so where's the line?
Yes is the answer to your question.
Where's the line? If I buy a house, right, and in said house there's a safe that's full of cash, that seems like it's fine. But if it's hidden in the walls, then it's not okay? Why?
Please put on the poll these hypotheticals to the audience at LeBatard Show. You found a brick of cocaine. What do you do with it? And then the answers are nothing, alert the authorities, call your shadiest friend.
Dan, do you have shady friends? Not Stugotz. Do you have shady friends? The shady friends that were like the real shady
I
friends.
don't know how to answer this question if you put me in a position where I actually have to sell the cocaine. I don't know that I have the person involved that can execute that for me in my life in a way that would have an expertise that I myself don't have. I don't know. The reason I'm asking you guys next steps is because I want practically next steps. You have found it. Now what? Like, I want answers to what you're doing. Jessica, what are you honestly doing? You have
Dan,
found a
did you
brick
find a brick of cocaine in a storage unit?
Yeah, is this
Sounds like you're
experience?
asking us what to do here.
Yeah.
because I don't know what to do. And I'm
advice.
asking.
I'm
it's
panicking.
cocaine.
Okay.
I'm panicking. I'm calling a friend and I'm saying, "What do I do?" and asking them that
Calling a
question.
friend?
Yes.
Wow.
Shadiest
Not
friend
doing
or
it in
just normal
person.
friend?
Rookie
Well, my
moves over
phone's
here.
not tapped.
That's what you think.
Well,
We're,
not
all our
yet.
phones are tapped.
We're-
all our devices are listening.
As of today, this conversation being out, every one of our phones is now tapped.
Yeah, we've now been
The
flagged.
DEA is on
Yeah,
top of our
we're
asses.
flagged. Absolutely. By the way, a man in Georgia was sentenced for spending part of a $31,000 check that was mistakenly deposited into his account. Stephen Fields, 18, was sentenced to 8 to 10 years of probation and is ordered to pay restitution to a 70-year-old victim of the same name who lives in the same small town.
Well, wait a minute. That was a check, right? You're talking
It
about
was.
cash money, right?
I am trying to establish a paper trail. You guys are saying there is no paper trail. I will not get caught. And yet I just watched an entire documentary, something Island, of a guy who was just trying to sell found cocaine, and it ended up destroying his life and ending with a lack of freedom because I don't know the answers to the questions you're asking me. I don't know how it can be proven that the money in your wall was ill-gotten. But if it can be proven, I don't think the wisest move is to just never think about it again and spend it.
Well, I agree with that, Dan.
It was Cocaine Island, Dan. It's a very good documentary. That guy obviously didn't know what he was doing. That's the only problem.
As opposed to Tony,
What was his deal?
Tony, who has a sophisticated labyrinth to chop it up,
Chop
and
it
make
up
sure.
and sell it. Yeah.
The worst detective of all
What's
time.
the next thing to do? Chop it up.
Chop it up.
Or rock it up. One of the two.
Rock it up.
The
80s.
Seriously?
Turn your mic off.
I'm curious about something, though. The idea that you guys are worried about being caught by the authorities for the cash in the wall. I'm worried about the person who put the cash in the wall. That's what I'm way more worried about.
Coming back to the house.
I'm going to jail. I don't care about that. I care about the guys that, well, I left it here, and then they see it got remodeled. And, like the Blue Streak? Was the movie Blue Streak?
Oh, that's a great
Martin?
movie with the big diamond.
Yeah, they hide the diamond in the police.
air vent. Yeah.
air vent, and then it turns out it's a police station when he gets out of jail.
Isn't Gerard Butler in some sort of lighthouse movie where he and two other guys find something like that, and then all of a sudden people start arriving on their shores looking for it?
Ooh, I remember. I gotta look
The
that up.
Vanishing?
Yes, that's what it's
So what do you
called.
do? Sell the house? Like if you find a bunch of stuff in it?
What do I do?
Yeah.
No, I mean I have to take the money and run. I have to sell the house. Oh, you mean sell the house afterward?
Yeah.
Yeah, immediately. Yes.
So you
immediately.
take all the money out and then you just flip the house.
Yep. Maybe I'll invest the money in the house. Make the money work.
There's still a paper trail of you selling the house, though.
Fuck.
We're about to try something here where we merge shows with Dan Patrick, but it's a little bit awkward because I'm going to be mostly being interviewed. We don't do the same show, even though I have great and profound respect for Dan Patrick, and he's given us permission to do some of the things around here that we do, like producers talking, because he was doing it before we were doing it. And I was admiring what he was doing on television before we were doing it. My father has arrived here, and he is not a great secret keeper. My father can be a little clumsy around secrets in our family, and we're about to talk to Dan Patrick, and I'd like to put some jokes in for the audience among what it is that we're doing, and I'd like to talk to all of you guys about how we do that. But before we do that, Papi, what you see happening with the Dolphins right now? You've been making fun of the Dolphins basically the entire time that you and I have known each other. And you are noticing what's happening right now with the Dolphins as they embarrass themselves again and think what?
Well, they make the headlines. That's what they were looking for, right? I mean, tampering, Tom Brady, Sean Payton, those are big names, you know what I mean? Stephen Ross, he was caught with his hands in the cookie jar.
Both hands were in the cookie jar. It was a good cookie jar. And
that
both
was
hands,
an expensive cookie jar.
It was an expensive cookie jar. And we're going to talk to Dan Patrick about it now because he calls sometimes when there is Dolphin news. What are some of the things we could do for just our audience in that segment? Do you guys have any ideas?
Dan, I have an idea. You ready?
Yes, your whispering is better than mine.
Yeah. What if we ask Dan Patrick and the Danettes, if they're still called that, what they would do if they found a brick of cocaine?
Oh, that's a good question.
You like that one?
It is a good question.
Write that down.
I am going to write down.
Get a pen. Write it down.
Dad, what do you think you would do if you found a brick of cocaine? If you're walking along,
I don't know, man. I mean, bro, I wouldn't take a chance, though. No, I'm a chicken when it comes to that. Probably just walk away from it. You know what I mean? And let somebody else grab it and run with it.
a wise move by my father that keeps him out of jail. Okay, that's a good suggestion. What other suggestions?
Can you sing any of your opinions on Stephen Ross? Like Bruce Springsteen in Dancing in the Dark. Stephen Ross got suspended.
Had his hand in the cookie jar.
He lost a couple of draft picks.
He was caught tampering.
I don't think I'm going to do that.
Oh, man, that's too bad. That's too
Can't hire Tom Brady.
Are they
Can't
live
hire
also?
Tom Brady without losing picks.
He tried to get Sean Payton.
And then he called Tommy.
Are they live also?
They are live.
I think they're live.
Oh, they're live. Oh boy.
Curse.
Okay, there's been.
That's good.
There's the Percocet.
I mean, yeah. Molly Percocet.
The T-Pain song, is there a way? What are the rights issues? He doesn't have to deal with any, right? I could just fire off the T-Pain song at some point.
I think they play actual commercial music on their program.
Must
So
be nice.
I think we can play a little T-Pain for you.
Here's what you do. You ask him if he's ever watched movies that are poorly rated on Rotten Tomatoes. And wondered whether they were accurately rated or maybe didn't get a fair shake. And then you plug Cinephobe. I think the fans will love it.
And then, he's going to do his Jack Palance impersonation.
Oh, that's what you do? He said, oh, my God. You got to hit him with the Ray Tango.
What a terrible idea.
He dances in and he waltzes away with my drugs. He wrote down Ray Tango. Yeah, I made the list.
I just want words that can be secrets to our audience that might be able to be worked in as we have done over the years into the programming that is slightly less overt than the stuff that you guys are talking about.
Does he have anything that he can be stubbornly defiant on? Some stubborn defiance.
Can we throw in a hubba hubba?
Ooh.
Can you ascertain something?
What if you say that Stephen Ross is real guaperia to do something like this?
Or explain what Stephen Ross did by saying your third eye was open.
You're really self-involved with your suggestions. Do you have any suggestions that don't serve you and serve the audience?
Black in my day.
All right, we'll see what happens.
Dan LeBatard, host of the Dan LeBatard Show with Stugotz, co-founder of Meadowlark Media, joining us on the program. Good morning, Dan. How are you?
Is it, Dan? You only call me when this unending river of diarrhea that is the Miami Dolphins does something nationally to embarrass our region and stain everything that used to be Dolphins football. Is it really? You call to laugh at me.
No, with you.
No, I am trying to ascertain with the strongest parts of my soul whether or not you have any use for this relationship except when an offensive line coach does cocaine or an offensive lineman bullies somebody else. Like the only times you call me, I saw you yesterday. I was insane with jealousy. You're talking to Pat McAfee about the origins of his career, but me, no. It's only when the Dolphins do something stupid. It's infuriating. It's hurtful. I was excited. Like, we played yesterday. We had a 65-yard pass in training camp that represented the best thing that's happened here in 20 years. And we got so excited that we were playing T-Pain's terrible Dolphins song yesterday. Listen to this.
Wow.
It was music in my heart, and then Stephen Ross comes and poops on it, and then I'm like, and then I'm avoiding when I see your call come up on the, I'm like, really? They're calling me again? This is the only time they're interested in me.
Oh, that song can really inspire you to maybe tamper or tank. Which one do you want to talk about, Dan, with your Dolphins?
The incompetence is laughably amusing at this point, is it not? That you would... This is the greatest winner we've known, and they lose the draft picks that it would have cost to actually get him. So they only fail to get him, and in so doing, the media gets everything wrong on the front end of this, Dan. If you remember how some of this broke, Adam Schefter and Darlington were out there for a weekend with the report that Brady was retiring when he publicly sent out the statement that wasn't meant as a retirement. It was meant as goodbye to Tampa, and Boston gets mad because they're like, why weren't we mentioned? Well, you weren't mentioned because it wasn't meant as a retirement. Like, he was coming to be the quarterback for the Dolphins, or to try to be through the executive route, you know, trying to do LeBron stuff because he's figured out with the player empowerment that he's worth $375 million as a side job that nobody knows he's any good at because he can do anything he wants. And this was such a gangster move that was almost executed, and the Dolphins just screwed all of it up. And it didn't happen only because of the unprecedented lawsuit that involves racism that cost them their coach.
Okay, but can you at least respect the Dolphins that they're trying to win? So they tampered. They tried to get Sean Payton, tried to get Brady. They tried to tank so they could get Joe Burrow. So they're at least trying.
I love that take, and we mocked Chris Cody for that take yesterday because how irresponsible it is. You're out here actively advocating for do everything you can to win, including cheating. Just do it well and don't get caught.
Yes.
I can't believe that that's where your career has now taken you, Patrick, where you're, do the immoral thing to win. Why wouldn't you? But I'm in total agreement with you. The only part of this that's objectionable is that he failed. Not that they failed to successfully cheat well as opposed to cheating poorly.
Yeah.
I'm with you. Like,
would you rather have Joe Burrow or Tom Brady?
Well, come on. I'd rather have Joe Burrow because, well, no, you're right. I'd rather have Brady because he's going to last longer than Burrow. He's going to play into his 70s.
No, that's a hot take right there.
No, I mean, it's not a hot take. It's just the most obvious thing that Brady is still going to be winning Super Bowls, actively dragging a dialysis machine next to him with the nurses from hospice running after him.
How confident are you in Tua this year?
I believe in the Dolphins this year for the first time in 25 years.
No, Tua.
Well, but they're masking it. You say no, Tua, but Garoppolo got within a throw of being a champion, and they were disguising it. Like Tua, they've put all the pieces around him so that All he's got to do is be accurate and not have a historically bad offensive line. Everything, like this has been pushed to the front, to the middle of the table. Everything, all or nothing, has been fast forwarded on the young quarterbacks because everyone's realized that you have to have value at that position in order to game the system. And for the moment, they have value at that position. He's cheap. Can you put all the things around him? They've got an offensive line. When I tell you historically bad, Dan, I think it's impossible to evaluate what Tua is, given that he had less time, according to Pro Football Focus, than any quarterback has ever had. More pass rushing, more pass blocking failures than we've ever seen since they've been tracking it. I love that they're entering this season with a fantasy player that is being described as a chaos player, because everyone listening to this has an opinion, but nobody listening to this has any earthly idea what's going to happen with this quarterback.
He's Dan LeBatard, host of the Dan LeBatard Show with Stugotz. You and Stugotz okay? I mean, felt like there was a little friction. You had reached out to me wanting to know if maybe my show versus your show, Family Feud. And then it felt like you were having a family feud within your family with you and Stugotz.
Yes, we're okay. I've been married to somebody for nearly 20 years who's despicable, and I understand what's in my bed.
Wow.
What? What do you mean, wow? It's the whole formula. What do you mean? We were Mike and Mike, odd couple. Like, what do you mean, wow? Like, it's you. Wait a minute. What do you mean, wow? You were at my wedding, and Stugotz tried to run off with you. Like,
he did. He did.
What do you mean, wow? People think that's fake. That's not fake. That's real.
He did take me home. He dropped me off. Hubba. He dropped me off. Okay. You love your wife or Stugotz more?
What are you talking about?
Who's more important for your career?
I love
your wife or Stugotz?
I love my wife a million times more than Stugotz. I barely love Stugotz, but I do love him.
Who's more important for your career?
Who is more important for my career? My wife is the reason that I'm doing all of the things I'm presently doing that I could not do with Stugotz. Like the reasons that I've made some of the choices that I've made to protect us.
All right. So you want to do this Family Feud one day where it's my show versus your show?
I'd like to do it on Family Feud if they ever did a celebrity Family Feud, or I'd like for you, because you've got game show connections, right? Everybody listening to this knows the story of how it is that you turn down The Price is Right. Does everyone know the story?
Yes, I believe so.
For those listening right now, just quickly, you didn't know that you had accepted the job to replace, you were going to be Drew Carey, or you were being asked without knowing the salary, will you take this job? It's being offered to you, and your response was, but I need to know the salary, correct?
I was told that the job was mine. And then they were going to set up a Price is Right set in San Antonio. I was covering the NBA Finals. They said, we just want to see how you look on camera. But Bob Barker had signed off on this. And then I said, well, what do I get paid? And they said, if you accept the job, we'll tell you how much you get paid. And I said, I can't do this. I can't do this.
And what did the job pay?
$10 million. Jesus Christ. Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Not total, a year, correct? $10 million a year.
Yeah. All of a sudden, it's like, and Drew Carey is the host of Price is Right, and he's making $10 million a year. My wife goes, did you know that? I go, no, I didn't. I did not know that.
What a weird way to do that.
I could never have left these guys, though. I could never have left these people. I made the right decision.
No, you did not.
Maybe not. But it's okay. It's okay. I mean, it could be worse. I could be there with Stugotz.
You can't do both, though. It was an either-or choice. You had the Barkley Live Golf.
Yeah.
It was an either-or.
Yes.
Don't you have other game show experience, though? You've hosted, like, you could get us in the game show world somewhere to be able to have a competition against your show, could you not?
Okay. Paulie, would you get a hold of the producer? We know the producer.
Celebrity Family Feud?
Yeah.
Yeah, we know of him.
Yeah. Why don't you reach out and see? I think they had the Joe Buck family on there. So, I mean, I got to believe we're bigger celebrities than the
Well,
Joe Buck
you
family.
are. You are. So we could, if not there, we'll do it somewhere else. We should figure out how to do this.
Okay.
But I'd like to ask your group of. We're in the middle of doing our show, and we're just coming out of a segment. So I'd like to ask your guys, all of them there, and you, because we were just discussing this hypothetically, and it's Miami, of course. If any of them happened upon a brick of cocaine, what do they do? Like on the beach, you're walking on the beach and there is a brick of cocaine. What is the answer? Not having given it much thought, hypothetically, what do you do?
Okay, so if this happened to me again when I was in Miami, so the first time, my answer is different.
You a brick of cocaine in the car.
Yeah, my answer is different this time around than the first time that it happened to me in Miami. Let's go around the horn here. Seton, I'm going to start with you. So, for no other reason, and you look like you're ready with an answer.
I would alert the proper authorities of said brick of cocaine, of
All right.
course.
Okay, Marv?
I'm going to sell that thing.
He's the only. My guys weren't brave enough. My guys were not brave enough to just say it like that.
Okay, Fritzy, what would you do if you found a brick of cocaine?
I would contact the local police and find out how to get it to the
Of course you would. Of course. Paulie?
I can't imagine there's gonna be a reward posted for this because of. But if there was, that'd be great. Now I think I'd turn into the authorities. I'd like to think that I would pull a Marvin and put it out there. Isn't what's in the movie True Romance? He finds the drugs. He tries to sell it.
Can I change my answer to I'd sell half of it?
What, Fritzy?
What if you were to sell it and somehow all of a sudden on the news there was a contaminated weed or whatever and people got sick or died because there was something?
It's cocaine, not weed. And why are you a buzzkill?
It's just sitting there, a brick of
contaminated weed.
Someone could get sick from it, and you sold it without knowing where it came from.
No, it's just a simple.
I want to ask some follow-ups. Can I? Seton, Marv, next steps, please. Take me, when you say sell it, take me through the particulars of the next steps. You've immediately found it. Now we're driving home with it in the car. I want all the details.
That's a fair question of how do you sell said brick of cocaine, Seton?
Well, the first thing you'd have to do some quality control.
You got to
make sure.
You
And then probably about a month and a half later, I'd be broke.
Okay. So you might not sell as much as you planned on.
It'd be good intentions to sell it. And then...
Marv, what would you do selling the brick of cocaine?
I'd go around, see who's who and what's what, and make sure it doesn't. I'm not selling it to me.
I got you, Marvin.
Nah. See, knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
You know who's who and what's what. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not even gonna go into detail.
You gotta go into details. What I'm asking you.
No.
The details
Basically,
can't be who's who.
You're trying
what's
to find
what.
out if you're not selling it to an undercover
LeBatard,
cop.
my guys are street. We know.
All right.
We know what's going on here. We're straight out of Connecticut here. You got any other questions here for my posse?
I do have a question actually for you here because Chris Whittingham is a lifelong Dolphin fan, and I want for him to just read to you in a second the list of quarterbacks they've had out here because it's been an irrelevant regional team for 20 years.
We don't have that much time to do all of the quarterbacks.
I want to ask you off the top of your head, and I don't think it's a hole in anyone's knowledge to not know the answer to this question. Can you tell me when the last time was you paid attention to the Dolphins doing anything on the field because you thought they were good? Like, just off the top of your head, when's the last time any of you guys who work in sports remember the Dolphins being good or carrying with them?
I think Ryan Fitzpatrick made them interesting for a month. That's the last time that there was a curiosity there of could he win a game or lose a game.
Ryan Fitzpatrick should go into the Hall of Fame with Tom Brady and Bill Belichick just because they feasted on him in every team in that division. That is not Ryan Fitzpatrick being the choice for the Bills, the Jets, and the Dolphins. If that represents the best of what you've remembered about the Dolphins.
No. I'm just saying recently, Ryan Tannehill, he wasn't entertaining, but he was serviceable.
Okay, serviceable.
The Jay Cutler year, they were interesting.
Okay, give him the list, Whittingham. Just
Chad Pennington.
Yeah, just
interesting.
Yeah, Jay Fiedler and Ray Lucas and Joey Harrington and Josh McCown and
Gus
Tyler
Farad.
Thigpen. Yeah, Gus Farad, Cleo Lemon, John Beck, Ryan Tannehill, Chad Henne,
AJ
Feely. It's just been a morass of awful.
You
See,
only
the
call
problem-
me.
But the problem is you only, like you guys win 6 or 7 games. Like you got to be worse. That's like your owner is right. We screw it up and win 6 or 7 games. We got to be worse than that. That's been your problem. You haven't been bad enough to get good.
They were 1-15 one year with Cleo Lemon and John Beck. And they could have been worse that season if not for Greg Camarillo ending
But
Brian
didn't you take
Billick's
an
career.
offensive lineman? Didn't you take Jake Long after a 1-15 season?
Oh my God, Dan! They have taken
you passed on Matt Ryan that year, I believe.
They have taken so many offensive linemen. They have spent so much money on offensive line. They have swallowed Nick Saban and Bill Parcells spending money on offensive line. And they, again, I will say this again, Dan, the worst pass blocking in the history of records on these things last year.
I'm glad we could talk.
Are you?
I am. I always feel better about my life when I talk to you.
Don't forget to curse, Billy Gill says to me in my headset, not helpfully. It was nice Ray-tangoing with you, sir.
Yeah. Let's do it again, and maybe we do a family feud, my family versus your family.
I want to do that.
And the winner gets a brick of cocaine.
and Marv ends up in prison forever.
And Marvin's going to do time, but he's going to sell, and then we'll make some money, and then he'll be doing some time.
Dan Patrick. How many millions? How many millions did he pass up? $10 million a year.
$10 million a year. But I mean, if somebody offered you a job but didn't tell you how much they'd pay you,
It's The Price is Right.
but what if at the end of it you sign up and it's 1.5 million, which is still a lot of money, but he's making that amount of money doing his radio show with his mates.
See, that's the complicated part where I don't know how I'm operating under the assumption that Dan Patrick is well off, but he's not making millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars, right? And the reality is he might be making a lot of money. 10 million may not have been that much of a boost. But counterpoint, it's a hell of a lot less work.
Yeah.
To do The Price is Right?
They probably do like 5 episodes a day and then you're done for the week. It's like basically a day a week job.
Yeah, you knock it all out.
And do you think, but now I guess here's the other thing though, is that, it's a business for Seton and Fritzy and Paulie and the Danettes. Marv now, obviously.
Marv, shout out to Marv.
Who we learned is going to sell a brick
That's
of
my
cocaine.
guy.
Really?
That's my friend, yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, man.
Oh, yeah. I thought he was your guy because you agree with him selling a brick of cocaine.
I know Marvin Prince. That's my buddy, man. He used to work at ESPN up in Bristol.
So he felt like he wanted to sustain an enterprise for his friends and for his confidants that he built it for.
Why couldn't he keep doing that?
Yeah, he could do the show. Look, this is the other giveaway. This is the red flag, right? Or a green flag, I should say, in this case. They wanted to build a replica set in San Antonio just because he happened to be there for the finals. What? How much money are they throwing around if they're going to build they couldn't wait a couple of days for him to fly to L.A.? They were going to build a replica set. It's like the rehearsal. Like, what's the budget here?
Oh, the budget here is astronomical, I would have to imagine.
So Seton and Fritzy and Marv and Paulie and all those guys, they couldn't get jobs?
But you're already on the back foot, right? No. You're already on the back foot because The Price is Right is dictating terms to you at that point. If they wouldn't tell you the salary, it's basically take this job under our conditions. It's not even necessarily about we're not going to tell you the salary. It's take this job and we're not telling you anything about it. Who would accept a job under those circumstances?
I would, because it's The Price is freaking Right. This is what I would do. I would say, I'll take the job. I don't need to know what the salary is. All I need to know is my people are taken care of.
You're such a good guy.
But what if the people at The Price is Right going, no?
If they say no,
You either take this job or you don't.
then I'm sorry, Seton, Fritzy, Marv, Paulie. You boys on your own.
You think that they would have been like an actual functioning replica set? Like, what do they do with the big wheel or like the Plinko?
You think they brought what's the mountain the climbing game cliffhanger?
Cliffhanger.
Yeah.
They bring it all. They bring the cars. They bring everything. There's washing
the
machines.
Cars. What
They're
a
gonna have
brand new
replica
car.
prizes.
Do you think they'd have like an audience full of people that have all done cocaine before going in, like standing outside, lining up? Why is that? There is not an audience anywhere in television more excited to be there than the Price is Right audience.
Dude,
I know, but how do they do that?
I watched a documentary about The Price is Right a few nights ago. Amin, have you seen this?
You have watched you've reached the end of streaming. Like you've watched everything.
He's reached
and
the
I
cliff.
also know
That's what I was trying to say earlier.
I also know you haven't watched it because you probably spend 85% of that on your phone.
That's true. I was on TikTok.
You grab like the important bits.
Oh my God, I went down a weird TikTok rabbit hole. But I'm going to stay focused on The Price is Right.
I'm bookmarking the rabbit hole, though.
It was a documentary about this guy who basically made this massive Excel spreadsheet of every single item that had ever been on The Price is Right and knew to the cent how much everything cost. And he was in the audience for a bunch of Price is Right episodes, and then he finally was able to get on it, and he had this like special connection with the Price is Right hosts and stuff. Like it was very, very weird, but like kind of like nice because there was nothing like creepy or harmful or bad about it. This guy was just like a Price is Right genius. It was so weird. He had this Excel spreadsheet, so it'd be like, you know, a LG refrigerator Model 3, $5,000, Model 3.1, like like literally 5 different versions of every item, and he'd have it all like done. It was incredible.
It's like the guy I saw a documentary about the guy that figured out the press your luck pattern. Remember the show Press Your Luck, where it kind of like bounced all around the board?
No whammies.
Yeah, exactly. So they back in the day before they had modern technology, they basically had like the same 11 patterns.
Like Simon.
And so he would guess correctly which pattern it was. And so he'd always end up 3,000 in a spin, 4,000 in a spin. And actually, there was one time in the show and in the documentary where he guessed wrong, but he won a vacation. And so you see for a moment, he's like, oh, shit. Oh, yeah, vacation. Yeah. He got excited because he just was shooting for those 3,000. He's won like $117,000, which is probably a little much. Like if you don't want people to be onto you, like don't win 6 times as much money as anyone who's ever appeared on the show.
Counting cards on Press Your Luck. That's
exactly. Yeah.
Interesting. There.
Geniuses.
So my friend works on the lot, the CBS lot. She works for the Corden show. But whenever, like, I've been there to visit, you know, because I get to sit in the green room and drink for free, which is, look, let me tell you something. You have a friend that works on a late show, their green rooms are way better than the green rooms we have, like, in sports. Way better.
Wait, so our kitchen doesn't...
We're not bad, actually.
We have liquor.
Our green room is an upgrade over the green room at ESPN, for sure. But, like, they at the lot or whatever, they've got, like, a bartender and an actual bar and everything, right? But again, right on the lot is the Price is Right studio. So every time I would go visit, I'd see all these goobers from Middle America just lined up, sitting around
what
waiting.
What are you doing?
I'm just saying.
What are you doing? What do you mean a snob?
You can tell where these people are from by the way they dress.
Middle America?
Middle America. You know which part.
Name a state. Try me.
Indiana.
Well, I can't say that many nice things about Indiana. Shit.
Other than the college that you went to.
Yeah. Sometimes not even that.
But yeah,
but people are like goobers in Middle America love the prices, right?
Look,
I take offense to using the word goobers because people in Middle America love that show, and for them it's a pilgrimage.
Goober, it's their mecca.
Yeah,
goobers in Middle America is what makes the Price is Right a successful enough venture to offer Dan Patrick a job that pays $10 million that he turned down because he thought they would lowball him. It's the Price is Right. The Price is, it's in the name. It's in the name. The Price is Right.
You know what? That's actually a brilliant shout. What if like the whole premise of The Price is Right is it's not for the contestants, it's for the hosts. And we know that it's like solving a riddle. When you get offered the job, it's like, well, the price will be right.
So this happened on the show Louie. You guys remember? Did anyone watch Louis? Where Louis C.K.
Way
was,
back in the day, I did.
Yeah.
I don't remember any of it.
There was an episode, or like it was a storyline that he was picked to like succeed. Was it Letterman or like someone?
Oh yeah, I vaguely remember this.
Yeah, and it was the same. It was literally the same storyline. I'm remembering this right now. All of a sudden, where it was, yo, you got to do this, and he was like, well, what's it pay? And it's like, they're not going to tell you what it pays. They want to know that you're in. And Louis similarly was just like, I don't know if I'm going to do this. And then he finds out later they're offering like $25 million a year or something ridiculous like that. Nah, man. But I like the idea of it being like some Westworld thing.
Yeah.
Where it's like,
It's a riddle.
you think that this game is about like contestants coming in and guessing prices. No, really, it's about finding the successor for Bob Barker. And it took them like 7 million years. But they finally found him, Drew Carey.
But, okay, if he would have taken this job, one, he would have been a household name everywhere, right? Not
Yes.
just like in the sports world. So it would have been like his profile would have been a lot bigger, right?
Sure.
And $10 million, he couldn't have hooked up his friends Marv and Polly and Seaton with like some
Golden
gigs
parachutes.
somewhere. Yeah, like pay them to do stupid things for you. Do a podcast and pay them their salary.
Hell, Dan hired Chris Cody to be his personal assistant. And he wasn't making $10 million a year.
I wonder if
Was it?
when Dan Patrick said, could you have also done the radio show? They said no. I wonder if The Price is Right is like, no, we don't. You're the Price is Right host.
Oh, they don't want you out here.
What you
doing
do.
other things?
You are not associated with anything other
Wait.
Open
than
an
The Price
Etsy
is
shop
Right.
or something.
Maybe the price isn't how much they'll pay you. It's the price of leaving your life behind and all your friends and what you've built to host a TV show across the country.
That's another
The
excellent premise for a
ultimate
show.
price.
My mind is blown right now.
The price of life.
The Price is Right. Now, I will say, Billy, do you think about Drew Carey more when he was on the Drew Carey show and Whose Line Is It Anyway than you do now?
Ugh, yuck.
What? Yuck?
You didn't like Whose Line Is It Anyway?
Whose Line Is It
No,
Anyway? It's a
it's
great,
terrible.
It is a little
what?
corny.
No, that's appalling.
Oh,
That's
it
a
is corny.
You
shocking
guys don't
thing.
know the
No,
magic
please.
of improv.
Oh, please.
Yes, and.
Not only that, but.
No, but.
So, Billy.
You're a big
Hell
Ryan
no.
Styles guy over here.
Yeah,
Let's get
Colin
outta here.
Mockery as well. Yeah,
Explains why Roy isn't the big yes and guy around here, though.
But anyway, I feel like he had a bigger profile then than he does now. I feel like Drew Carey only does The Price is Right. We don't
Hold
see
on.
him anywhere else.
I know, but that means his profile is smaller. He used to have 2 TV shows. He had his own like sitcom, and then he had.
That's what I'm saying. I'm arguing that Drew Carey is not as big of a figure in
Oh.
American pop culture now than he was
Yeah.
then.
Yeah. But is he
No,
not doing
maybe-
anything
maybe
else?
To like do a, I
Does he
don't
do
think so.
stand up? He doesn't do stand up?
I think he's just The Price is Right host.
Really?
Dude, if he's making $10 million, you think he's going around?
He's making more than 10 million. Let me tell you that. He's-
Okay, but if he's making more than $10 million, you think he's going around doing a stand-up
yeah,
tour
these
for
guys,
what?
The guys love it.
They're insatiable.
They love it, man. I was on Andrew Schultz's podcast earlier this week, and we talked about because the lottery thing with the $1 billion, and if you won, would you keep doing what you do for a living? Go ahead, Billy.
Let's call. Can we call him right now and you ask him if you get $10 million to do The Price is Right, he's still going to tour?
I already
and do
asked him this
stand-up?
question if he won $750 million. He said he'd still do it. He said he'd still do stand up if he
But
won
that's
the
not
lottery.
real. Like $750 million is not a real thing.
How many people here bought lottery tickets for that Mega Millions?
Oh, me.
Yeah,
I did not.
Not me,
I
but
did
my
not.
friends bought a lot.
Yeah, I bought $40 worth.
You
And
guys
I- and
ever
I
get
was-
in a pool?
And I was
Yes.
You did?
So, Amin, did
But
you
I
buy?
didn't
Did
buy
you buy
any.
some Mega Millions?
I missed the cutoff.
Mm.
Yeah, I
Mm.
woke up and I was like, hopefully nobody won it.
It's crazy we still don't know who won it.
It's not crazy.
Well, I mean,
That person should go into hiding.
I would have done
now.
the
I
same
would.
thing.
Just don't
Same
t-
thing.
Do you guys not know how to do this? I might really have to teach you guys.
oh
I
no,
guess so.
we've been over various strategies. I just think it's crazy. It hasn't been like, someone told a friend who told a friend, and then we found out.
You need to take a couple weeks, if not a month, to figure out exactly like the shell corp that you set up, that you claim it under, and what you do with the money and how you're going to take. Like, you're an idiot if the next day you come out and you're like, I have the winning ticket, because then you're done.
You're done. You're done. No, you got like Billy said. The first thing you do is you get a lawyer. You lawyer up immediately, right? Then
create the LLC.
right.
But,
well, the
but,
lawyer.
but Amin, you don't know who to trust. That might honestly
Lawyers.
No, but why would I trust a
No,
lawyer?
I'd go to a couple lawyers and I'd lie to the lawyers too. Like they wouldn't know exactly
can't-
what they were dealing
No,
with.
but they can't be out here talking about I got the guy or I took an interview
No,
with the guy.
it's not about revealing your identity. It's trusting people with your money.
No. Here's
Right,
the
you go to the
like,
lawyer and
I-
you say, I have a very expensive proposition for you. Can I trust you? Also, I found a brick of cocaine and I need help with that too.
Different lawyer.
Calls all.
You go to the lawyer. You shop around. You say, I'm coming into some money, but before I claim it, I want to know what's the best approach, right?
My grandmother died. She's leaving me, an inheritance. I
Right.
want to know the best thing I should do with this money.
Right. And you talk to separate lawyers to figure out what's the best thing, right? Because you're not asking them to invest. You're asking them, how can I protect this thing from a very straightforward taxation kind of situation?
You're
Number
trying
two,
to figure out, in Mars' words, who's who and what's what.
Exactly, yes. So number 2, you gotta keep showing up to work. I cannot stress this enough. You cannot
Really?
behave any differently. You have to keep showing up to work. I'm not saying you got to be
That's what I
the
would do.
employee of the month. You just keep showing up. Maybe
Really?
you
Because
show.
I was thinking about it. I went through the whole scenario and I just would vanish.
No.
You wouldn't see me.
You can't vanish.
Really?
You can't vanish. You can't vanish because here's the thing: you don't have the money yet. So it's not. You can't I'm gonna go to Brazil with what? You're gonna max out whatever little credit card room
I
you
feel like
got.
it'd be such an ordeal to get S corps ready and hire lawyers and all that. It'd become like a job.
Witty,
Winning
if
the
you
lottery.
disappear, we'd all think that you got caught and roped in for
murdering
murder.
someone.
Yeah, for
Oh,
serial
wait,
killing,
hold
yeah.
on a second. You're worried about running up credit card bills when you have $1 billion coming to you 6 weeks later?
I'm not saying running up the bills. I'm saying, do I have the wherewithal to vanish and then live for quite a while without any actual money on me? Because it's not like my credit score went up. They don't know that I won the lottery. No one knows. So my current financial situation right now is what I'm going to have for the foreseeable future until that direct deposit hits. So you have to keep showing up to work. You can't tip off to anybody that anything is not on the up and up. You got to just keep acting normal. Man, and then what you do, now, different people do different things. Witty says he vanishes, right? I don't vanish. I'm not vanishing, baby. I'm coming. I'm be right here.
You're hosting the next episode of Basketball Illuminati.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I got something for you. Instead of being on the up and up and being like, oh, everything's cool, I'm in my normal life, you act poorer. It's on the down and down. All of a sudden, you're like, man, I'm broke. I got no money. This is crazy. I don't even know how I'm going to live next month.
Yeah,
Live in your car.
Definitely, that's one of the rules. Make complaints.
Be as deceitful as possible.
Oh, yeah.
Complain about everything.
Yeah, be like Stugotz here.
Yeah, just everything. The price of gas.
Maybe Stugotz won.
He's not here, is he?
He was. Very briefly.
Yes, he did.
That's phase 3. Phase 3 is when you've received the money, you keep showing up to work, but you take time off. Like maybe you show up to work a little late. Maybe you take off a little early. Maybe you miss some days. Maybe you call out sick. Basically, everything that Stugotz has been doing for the last month and a half.
Solve the case, Tony.
That's what I do.
First one.
Where did they say that winning ticket was sold? Illinois?
Illinois,
Oh.
yes.
Just Plains, I think.
Chicago in Illinois, right?
Right by the airport.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Does Stugotz, has he been in Illinois anytime recently?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. Does he have perhaps a family member who matriculates in the state of Illinois?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, I done cracked the case.
Hey.
I told you crack was back.
Poppy, are you ready to update some polls for the week? You and your wife, my mother, fled Cuba so that I would have the freedom to recap the week with an absurdity of poll questions. What are you laughing about? I mean,
the way you phrased that. You and your wife, my mother.
How should I have phrased that?
You and mom. You and mama.
Yeah, that wouldn't be good enough, yeah.
You and mama. Okay. The way that you guys fled Cuba so that we would have the freedom to use these microphones in order to ask inane questions from the week. Is the fake Stugotz around ready to ask or to recap our poll questions from the week? What do we have?
Let's go back. Okay. What's more dangerous, a roundabout or a classic intersection?
I think we learned fairly scientifically that the correct answer was that the classic intersection is more dangerous.
What did the people think?
54.1% of the audience said classic intersection. Has anyone ever actually gotten the toothpaste back in the tube? 88.2% of the audience said no. No one's ever got it.
Poppy, that's one of your favorites, right? You
That's
love
right.
you love hands in the cookie jar. You love spill the beans, and I know you love toothpaste back in the tube.
Yeah, that's.
What are your favorites?
I'm an expert doing that.
What are your favorite of the cliches, Poppy? Because yes, you were saying earlier this week that Brian Flores was a big winner because he's the one who spilled the beans.
Yeah, spilled the beans. That's it. He spilled the beans. He got even with the real estate tycoon.
He did get even with him. Your favorite? I've been hearing that's the way the cookie bounces since I was a child. Go ahead, Billy. What else do you have there?
Was Ric Flair's last match $34 well spent? 65.4% of the audience said no.
Having not seen it, it couldn't have been. It couldn't have been $34 well spent.
My father, 5 years older than Ric Flair. Go ahead.
Better acting in a heart attack scene. Marlon Brando in The Godfather, Uma Thurman in Pulp Fiction. 66% of the audience said Uma Thurman.
Wow, it's a big one.
A lot of people pointed out that wasn't a heart attack, though. It was an
cardiac arrest.
Cardiac arrest from an overdose distinction.
I mean, heart issues. Is that a distinction worth making?
Yes.
Why?
Because on the poll.
Ultimately, you have to fake a heart-related incident, and I thought Uma Thurman's was better. Whether or not it's an actual heart attack that she's trying to. Why are you yelling at me from the corner?
Because his microphone's not on.
I'm being heckled.
Corleone was playing with his grandson. All of a sudden, you throw it to water the thing. He puts the orange in his mouth.
That's yes,
Chris
that's
Russo over here.
exactly what that was. Go ahead, Guillermo.
Did you know that pepperoni was an American creation and not an Italian creation?
Poppy, were you aware of that?
No, I thought that was made in Italy all the way, since the day one. So.
Well, 78% of the audience said no. They didn't know. Does it always start with "we should have left earlier"?
Oh.
The arguments with your significant other, do they always start with "we should have left earlier" because you're the reason that you're late?
95.5% of the audience said yes. Is Wade Phillips peeing on the floor of the shower in the airport stall?
The airport shower stall.
I love when this encounters people who weren't here. Like Jess wasn't here that day, so she's like, "What are you guys talking about?"
Whittingham took a shower the other day, paid $40 to take an airport shower.
What?
No,
What?
no,
What?
no,
Money
no,
bags.
no.
Yeah, I did. In the Charlotte airport.
You expensive?
Coming back. No, I was coming back from MLS Cup. I was very drunk, and I needed a shower really badly.
You couldn't just buy deodorant from.
No,
one of the
it
shops?
wasn't deodorant. It was the refreshment, right?
He needed,
like
he needed to wake up.
Showers are a reset.
Wait.
right? I needed it to get on.
You
with my
couldn't
life.
splash water in your
Nope.
face.
You
in the
couldn't
bathroom
wait
sink.
Like 2 hours to
Nope.
be in Miami? You were
Nope.
in Charlotte.
No,
You're like halfway there.
I was a dead man, and the shower revived me. I then had a nice hearty breakfast at the food court in the Charlotte airport. I think that was the day of the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix when Max Verstappen won the Drivers' Championship
Asterisk.
of Formula One, and it was an incredible refreshment. I got through the rest of my day because of that shower.
Why didn't you go into the lounge?
I don't have access to that.
Why didn't you shower in the hotel?
What a peasant life.
You can pay for access to the lounge though, and it's probably like
How is that any different than paying for the airport hotel?
Where do you get free food?
Where do you pay for a shower? I've never even seen that offered.
You know what? I didn't know you could either. I just Googled, where can I take a shower in the Charlotte airport? And this place popped up. It's like a little mini hotel that they have there. They have like 8 to 10 rooms, and you can pay for like an hour, and one of them has a shower
It's
in
not
it.
for showering.
What do you mean it's not for shower? Oh, it's for sex, yeah.
My
You're not
father laughed like he knew something there, and yes, I just became uncomfortable with the woman that is his wife and my mother.
Hubba hubba.
No. Wait. I figured that was for something else than taking a shower.
Well, 93.8% of the audience said yes. Wade Phillips peeing on the floor of the shower in the airport's shower stall.
Billy did ask a question that you did not answer, which is why not just shower before you got to the original airport?
No, so I was out drinking. That's why. Because I was out drinking. It was a red eye before. It was a red eye from Portland to Charlotte. I left at midnight, and I basically went straight from the bar to the airport.
Who is this man?
You're wild.
Yeah. I kept getting handed shots of tequila that I didn't want to drink, but they just kept getting handed to me. And
MLS Cup.
I didn't like it.
It's a crazy time every time.
It really is. I'm telling you.
People are saying.
When it's time to get down, is it time to get down with the get down?
Yes, obviously.
92.4% of the audience said yes.
92.4. Wow.
Have you ever been right about anything with your significant other ever in your life?
Poppy, have you ever been right about anything with your significant other ever?
I'm usually wrong, though. You know what I mean?
I woke up this morning wrong.
I swing. I strike out when I swing with her. You know, there's no way I can be there. She's too smart.
I woke up this morning wrong. I'm going to go to sleep tonight wrong. That's just how things go.
I don't know what you guys mean. I'm always right.
Yeah.
Yes, that question was more poised for your boyfriend.
Significant other.
I'll ask him. He'll be wrong, though.
61.7% of the audience said no. Has anyone made toilet paper sound as wonderful as Vin Scully? 92% of the audience said no. Is there such a thing as sweeps week in television?
I mean, there was once such a thing, but it can't. It can't still be a thing.
Still here.
74.6% of the audience said no, there's not still such a thing.
Oh.
You found a brick
What
of
do they know?
cocaine. What do you do with it? Nothing? Alert the authorities or call your shadiest friend? Lots of votes on this one. Yeah. 64.8% of the audience said call your shadiest friend.
Yeah.
We should have put on there, sell it yourself. That should have been one of the options.
I think we just assumed that nobody in this room would be equipped to do
But
that.
we were throwing it to the entirety of the
Yeah.
audience,
There might be
which
people out
is.
there who think they could.
I think keep it implies like you may do things with it, right?
Anything else, Billy?
No, those are the polls.
Let's do Refran del Dia here. I said that very gringo. Refran del Dia with Tony and Luis. Let's go.
Refrain del dia would be the most gringo way to say it, though.
Refran.
Refran del Dia.
Dímelo, mi gente.
That was a bit sensual.
It was the boss. Yeah, it was the boss doing Refran del Dia.
I thought it was like Bad Bunny. I thought it was like Bad Bunny.
Como está la cosa?
It was Bruce
¿Cómo está la
Springsteen.
cosa?
El jefe. Oh, Dan, it's good to be back. Very exciting. Refran del Dia. We got Poppy in the house.
Yeah.
Let's spin the wheel.
Let's spin the wheel.
Wow. That's a new wheel.
Okay, spinning. Spinning. Eee.
Oh, the discomfort is always fun. Are you scared of it?
No,
or
no,
do
no.
you
I'm
not
not
think
scared
it's
of this.
good?
I'm not scared of it. It's not good, but I'm not scared of it.
What do you mean? But
Hold
what
on.
was that fear in your voice?
Because the word we don't
Okay, you are scared of it.
we
You are
don't
scared
have
of
the
it.
word spelled on the wheel. We only have a syllable of the word spelled on the wheel because, you know, whatever, not the point. Yeah, it's how you say it. So the way that we have it here is neepy. But in the fullness of the word, it's
Why are you this uncomfortable? Why does this
no,
segment
because,
always go
man,
this way?
My mom listens. Lewis's mom listens. Billy's mom listens, maybe. Does she?
My father's wife, my mother
Yes.
listens.
The Refran del Dia today is Nipinga.
Oh dear God! My father's
I don't
head
know.
went into his hands at the very beginning of this. So
I
now
know there's a penis involved in here somewhere.
Yeah,
That's
probably.
it. You got it. That's it.
Okay.
Well, actually, in this refrain, there isn't one.
There
involved.
isn't one. Yeah, there literally isn't one. Yeah.
She just said it.
all right, my father is made uncomfortable. What is the translation for all of this?
So like,
Poppy?
it's not used as the word for penis. It's used when you don't have anything, or that person doesn't have something, or you go
Dickless.
to. Hey, we went to this restaurant. No tienen ni pinga. Like they don't have anything.
It's like they don't have shit.
Not
Yeah.
even.
Yeah.
Not even.
People say
Yeah.
that sometimes. I ain't got dick. You
Yeah.
know, like,
Yeah, that's it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I ain't got dick. That's it.
anything else that needs to be added to this? Because you guys, you guys came in with just the first half of it.
Neepy. That's the
abbreviation.
That's the PG-13. Yeah, that's PG-13. When you walk in, sometimes you're like, "Hey, where's lunch?" Neepy. And you're like, okay.
The one that I'm familiar with is Nico.
Oh, Nico, that's a different one though.
Nico's a different one. Do you have Nico on the wheel?
Yeah, we got Nico on the wheel.
I'm sorry.
We'll get to it one day. Yeah, we'll get to it one day.
I love the idea that you guys are uncomfortable, but as if someone else populated the wheel for you.
Well,
It's the wheel. The wheel acts independently. They didn't
does.
decide the wheel, although I have my suspicions about Billy being the one who had some things
Billy
to
could
do.
never. No, he would never put that specific phrase on the wheel.
How
It's
is
not
this?
something
How
that's
is
in his wheelhouse.
nepinga different than de pinga?
Well, no. De pingao is totally different. Yeah. De pinga,
Explain
de
the
pingao, and ni
difference,
pinga.
not you, Tony. Poppy, explain the difference between ni pinga and despingado.
No, it's de pinga.
Well, despingado is when you don't have, you know what, the
When you're neepy, yeah.
Yeah, when you're neepy, that's despingado.
All right, good. I'm glad we cleared all that up. Excellent.